a change maker.
Hona has given me a responsibility I don't think I can manage, but I really want to talk to you about a few things since you've been here for the last few days and you've been working on this for a while. But before I begin, I just want to say the session was going to be taken by my colleague Gautam Bhan, who's unfortunately not here today because he is actually on the forefront of protest against the Supreme Court judgment yesterday, and just wanted to say that we stand in solidarity behind him. Okay, so quickly moving on before I actually talk about IIHS and what we do and how we see this National Student Challenge. Let me ask, what has been the experience for all of you with NSC, and are there any other such spaces available for you in your colleges? So first question, some responses about how has this experience been. I mean, there'll be winners and losers at the end of the day, but just how we always say it's the process, and some feedback from some of you. Okay, the lunch was really heavy and all of you are sleeping. Should I make you do some exercises? Tell me, how was the experience with NSC?
Yeah, hi, this is Vatsal from Team Kaizen. So for me, I feel it's a great learning ground for young entrepreneurs, and I think such places can actually veer the direction of career of many. So what I have seen, including myself, we have great ideas. We feel like we can do something, but at the end of the day, it's a permanent salary job which has stuck you, or the future of a good package, which is the whole scene in the society. So such grounds, I think, meeting with people, seeing these places, gaining the confidence that yes, there are some people, some great people, great institutions who realize that your potential can be used. So that way, I think it's a great initiative, and also being seen some of the accelerators and incubators, I feel this type of setup is totally different. And the 2-day event, including the drum jam yesterday and today's games and all, I feel you people are doing a great job. All the best, and thank you.
Okay, let me just say, I'm not for compliments. I want you to reflect more on what has been, what did you learn, or what did you think? How has it helped you?
Yeah, hi. So the process followed for the competition was amazing. It's like one of its kind. I can totally relate to the process because we at National Institute of Design follow the same, right? We start from an entry point, and then we keep on improving the concept. And the best part about this is including the finance plan, and giving mentors, providing those people who can forecast that what's required, and it's like doing a live project. And the best thing about the output is even before the results, many of the teams, I guess the experience is same, that we are already getting called, and people are like, once the competition is over, we want to have a look at your product. So I think it's amazing. It's a life-changing experience.
So just moving on, do you have other opportunities in your own colleges like this or similar to this? Because I know all of you come from very different backgrounds. So, for example, NID would be very different from some of the other places. So, any reflections on that? Do you have that spaces? Do you want such spaces? Okay, deadly silence. Okay, yes or no? Do you have such spaces in your college? Louder. Somebody said yes.
Yes, in IIT Kharagpur we have this e-cell. So we run competitions. The one phase is impresario, other phase is concipio. So one is related to corporate, other is related to social enterprises. So every year we run that. And even if the students want to start the company, there is a proper incubation park. Office space has been provided by IIT Kharagpur. And if we want to defer their placement for the next year, so that if they could make their career in their project, so even that opportunity has also been incubated there.
So just, and this is very useful, but more, in addition to kind of innovation, any other places where you really encourage to think out of the box and, not really just go sit for an exam and that's it? Any other opportunities do any of you have? And any reflections on your education?
So at IIT Chennai, there's a great emphasis on entrepreneurship. There are 3 platforms. One is CSIE, Center for Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which does courses, or in which students can take up courses related to entrepreneurship, and they can learn basics of uh, including inspiring students to be entrepreneurs and the skills they required. There's something called CFI, Center for Innovation, in which the tagline is walk in with an idea, walk out with a prototype. So people can come with a very, can think of whatever, and there are resources and people who will help them to convert the idea into some form of prototype. And then finally there is an incubation cell in which incubates companies. So in many cases at CFI, when you convert your idea into prototype, then converting the prototype into a product, in that phase you can get incubated. So these are 3 channels at IIT Chennai.
In SEPT, I'm from SEPT, and we have a course usually in a semester, which is a studio course, and that is where we have like the game we played today. It is a very similar kind of approach. We do it in a semester. So we are given a site or something like that.
From IIT Delhi, although IIT Delhi does have a very set up platform for entrepreneurship, but there's nothing for sustainable development within IIT Delhi. Even the number of courses that we have do not include sustainability or urban planning. The problem in IIT Delhi is that we focus a lot on academic, and we failed to move on to the new challenges that are facing the world today. Maybe that will come into play with the new curriculum that has been set up now, but unfortunately that is not available right now.
So I think when we started off with IIHS and designing our academic program, we actually thought about what it was like for us to be students, and many of us in the team at that point, it was a young team, so we actually remembered our college days. So I'm going to tell you something about how we try to be different, or at least try to make a difference to the students in this country. But before that, I just want to hear from you. What do you think IIHS is? I'm sure you've seen the website at some point, or if you had to describe IIHS in one word, what is it in this thing?
Promoting sustainability. One word, sustainability.
Okay. That's maybe one of our objectives. But what do you think IIHS is? What kind of a creature is IIHS? Research organization dealing with challenges. Okay. Anybody else? No? Change makers. Okay. No. He's speaking from the website. Oh. Okay, that's okay. Maybe I should pull down the website. No, okay, don't read from the website. Tell me, you've come here, you've come for 2 days, you've been working on this for what, how many months now? 6 months. 6 months? You must know something about us. What do you think we are? Obviously, they don't know anything about us. Anything, this doesn't determine. There's no right or wrong. Trying to understand what is your perception about us. Change makers. What do you think? Change makers, okay. I banged the word change makers. What else?
What do you think the agenda for NSC was?
Urban transformation. Okay.
Anything else?
Making ideas actually work. Okay. Anything else? Okay. So I'm gonna. Okay. Okay. So I think all of you obviously got partially the answer correct. Yes, we are a research organization. Yes, we want to work with change makers, and yes, we are. A lot of us work on sustainability, including us and Sanjay Prakash sitting there. But actually, to answer the question of what is IIHS, we're still trying to figure out. It's such a complex organization, and we have so many facets that for us to summarize it is in one word is very difficult. But having said that, I think there are certain things, there is a certain ethos and there is a certain philosophy and a vision behind this institution, and which is basically, our focus is on urban areas, and to really make them more sustainable, more equitable, more inclusive. Broadly speaking, of course, there are other goals also. And the interesting part is how we choose to do it. And how we choose to do it, when we looked at it and when we looked at our urban areas and we were looking at what is binding the urban area, why are things not moving forward? And I think the biggest reason things were not moving forward according to us was complete lack of people. And we were constrained by people. There were not enough students, there were not enough graduates, there were not enough professionals who worked on urban issues. And so while we do many things, many other things than which I'm going to speak about, our primary focus remains education in all forms. And I'm going to speak about the program, but as of now we're not offering graduate programs, but we're very clear that we want an engagement with young people in India, people like you, and we do that through a variety of means. So let me talk about some programs that we do. So essentially we spend a lot of our energy in developing something called the Masters in Urban Practice. And I'm just going to take 2 minutes to speak about it. It was a program, it was called Urban Practice, and you may have never heard of something like that, and we had to invent it. And that the reason was we felt that it was not a planning program, it was not an architectural program, it was not a management program. It was an interdisciplinary program that looked at urban issues. And the 3 important things about that program was, first one was that it linked theory with practice, which means that it has a strong practice focus. But unlike some professional colleges which focus only on practice, it also focused on academics and research and theory so that you could make that link. Secondly, it was an interdisciplinary program. And lastly, we were very clear that if we wanted to make any change, it had to be an inclusive program, which means that we made sure that we didn't get people from select cities, from select classes of society, but we went out and got more people. So that was the Masters in Urban Practice. We also plan to offer Bachelors in Urban Practice. However, we cannot do that at the moment because of certain regulatory issues. So what we do have instead is UPP, Urban Practitioners Program, where we offer short courses from anything between 2 days to say 2 weeks in a range of issues. And I'm just going to show you this. Clicker. Pointer. So this is just to pick up few of the courses that we've offered. Like GIS has been a very popular course of ours, but also UNDP program, a joint program on resilience planning, which is actually happening upstairs as we speak. And so this is another one of our initiatives. Apart from teaching, the other things, the other 2 major parts are actually research and practice. So yes, somebody said we are a research organization, we are, and we work on a range of issues like sustainable development, some of you spoke about that, but also urban poverty and inclusive development is another one of our major issues that we work on, livelihoods, land, etc. And the last part is actually that we are also a practice organization. So we've started only last year, but we believe in engaging in practice. And I think what is important is that it's not practice as in different consulting firms that you see around, but our focus of our practice is also to make some change. And we do that through a variety of means. We do handholding with the government. We do work with private sector organizations. We work with grassroots organizations to make things happen. So these are the 3, so teaching, capacity building, which is the short program, practice program, and research programs. These are kind of the 4 things. We also have other teams. So we have the communication team who's organized this for you. We have the media lab. And we have a geospatial lab. So these are the different components of IIHS. So to come back to about what IIHS is, we see ourselves as a place where all these things happen, where research, practice, and teaching happen together. And we are very, very focused on, trying to run linkages between them. Come back to the issue of teaching. Any questions before actually?
Myself Suraj, I am from SPA. Apart from the everything that you talk about is like, about the institution, that how does it work and which sectors it has. But the competition, actually, I would like to talk about one very small thing that we talk about here, urban challenge and urban development. and we also parallelly talk about how to marketize your ideas, into practical fields. But we, we have seen in yesterday in many of the presentation that we do have some sort of, social problem in a society which can be marketized. So once you be balanced with the idea, with the marketing strategy, lots of main problem the society got, somehow missed. So I personally feel that we also should have a system that you come up with the ideas, and the ideas is more important rather than converting the ideas into business form, because the business is not something related with all the time with the urban development, So.
I think a very quick, I don't know if anybody from the communication teams want to pitch in, but a very quick response is that NSE is only one of the things we do, and the focus of this is actually on innovation and entrepreneurship, which is why you're asked specifically to develop a business plan. It doesn't mean that everything we do here has that focus necessarily. We do a lot of work with the government, like I said, and a lot of work with other organizations where we realize that these issues may not always be marketable, and so we do that work. So this is just one of the things we feel, because we feel that, while the government is important and while other methods are important, this is an equally valid way of solving and approaching Indian problems, urban issues, and hence we ask you to do that. All right. Okay, I need any other questions, quick questions about IIHS? No? Okay, all of you are waiting to kind of hear the results. So just want to quickly wrap up about how we see this National Student Challenge. Like I said, we try to be a little different with our teaching methodology, and we actually don't call it teaching at all. We call it a learning environment, and we actually don't use the word students at all. We call them learners. So we ran a batch last year, we call them learners, and the kind of the thinking behind that is that, there is no one-way communication. We are all here to learn. And we work with the philosophy that we have a learner-centric curriculum. We actually go and talk to people who come in and ask them what are their requirements, and the curriculum is based on that. So we try to do things a little differently. And the reason why we, for those of us in the NR team, this is important because we need to reach out to people, young people like you, and understand, what's going on in your mind and what would you like. And before I hand over to Hona, just to say that this is not the end of it. So you will leave after this. But there are ways to be in touch with us. And just to outline some of those, one is that we run publics here. So we run public lectures, screening. We've recently started a thing where we call authors from there and discuss their texts. So series of public events. We also run, like I said, in UPP, we run a lot of short courses. So all of you, most of you, you're welcome to come and apply for any of these courses. We've also starting an internship program for next year for those of you interested. So I guess the thing is, for us, it's very important to be with touch with people like you. So be in touch, and these are the different methods. And yeah, let us know, give us your feedback about what you think. So I'll hand over to Ahuna with this. Thank you all very much, and all the best.
All right. I see everyone straightening up. The moment that almost all of you have been waiting for, the results, the 6 teams that are making to the final round of National Student Challenge 2013. The first team that's making it, hold on, 1 second. Let's take a rewind. Okay. So adding on to what Kavita said, this entire journey of National Student Challenge for us has been largely about getting the perception of different student communities across the country on urban issues and urban challenges. And as I look at the results that are in front of me right now, I can say that the entire country's opinion has been represented in the top 6 teams that are qualifying for the final round. Okay. Before I again declare the results, we would encourage all the teams to stay back till the evening. We have a panel discussion later this evening about how can all of us as budding entrepreneurs combine the three important components of entrepreneurship, innovation, sustainability, and entrepreneurship in itself, to build a very successful business model. And later this evening, we'll also have the reimbursements in process, so you guys will have to stay back. All right, without much ado, the top 6 teams that have made it to the final round of National Student Challenge 2013. First team, Team Kaizen, from VIT Chennai, and I am Amara. The second team is Team Transpose, from CEPT University. The third team is Team Pavans, from VIMS Bangalore, Amity University Delhi, and University of College London. The fourth team that has made to the final round is Team Unlearn, from SJCE Mysore. The fifth team that has made into the final round is Team Amrut Dhara, from IIT Madras. And the final team that has made into the final round is Team Infite from IIT Kharagpur.
Before we go on to the final round, you will not get much time to make any further presentation or add any slides. May I request our director, Aruma Rebi, to introduce the grand jury.
So I guess, folks, the interesting thing here, like I said yesterday, is that this is not a competition. Huh? So there may be some people here who are feeling that, look, we haven't got into the last 6. So what have we been doing for the last few months? The key thing for us is that both you, and in some ways we need to celebrate the other 1,000+ teams that participated in this process, have probably learned a few new things. And I think that's really important for us. You've hopefully learned about the cities that you live in. You've picked up a few new perspectives. And I suspect, because the mentorship process has been quite intense with some of you, you've also picked up a number of skills. So in some senses, the people who are most privileged here are those that haven't come into the top 6. Because they have the opportunity of figuring out what it is that can take them forward, and the things that you are not able to put together, which didn't bring you into the 6 that is there. Because I think what we've learned here over time is the most important thing that we have to learn in this country, or the two most important things. The first thing is to implement, fine? And this challenge is very different from most other challenges. If you see what all the other newspapers and people do, is that they focus on challenges which are idea-based challenges. The reason that some of us may not have made it into the final 6 is we may have very good ideas, but what the juries have been looking at is whether those ideas can be taken into practice. The fundamental challenge that we have in this country at the moment is that we have lots of good ideas, we debate on television and lots of other places, but it's really difficult to translate those things into practical solutions on the ground. Now, in order to do that, there's something that we need to build a sort of an important culture of, and that is a culture of understanding and being tolerant of and learning from our failures. The greatest innovators in history are people who have learned how to fail most effectively. That's why I said the other teams that didn't make it to the 6, if they're able to reflect on what they've learned and what they haven't learned and where they could do things further, may in real life, because most of you are going to go into real life in the next few months or years, they may actually do much better than those that are privileged to maybe get the support that we might be willing to give them. So those things are, I think, very important for us to understand. The first thing is, if you have to make a difference in the world, both for yourself and anybody else, you do have to focus on making things happen. Implementation is the most serious challenge this country has. We have tremendously talented people, we have a wealth of resources, we even now have a rising national income, so things are a little bit better. But what we don't have, and that's where countries like China and Japan and other parts of the world, even Latin America are much better off, is actually implementing things on the ground. And implementing things in cities is actually quite complex and very difficult to do. Why? Because cities are the most complex systems that we have evolved over the last 5,000 years. So in some senses, if you find that you're challenged, it's not because, you know, it's because you don't know what you're doing or you haven't tried hard enough. It is because for 5,000 years, we have still not learned how to manage our urban environments. And I'm not only talking about our country, because we stand outside and we say the garbage has not been cleared, or the water doesn't run, or the transport gets clogged, etc. It is because urban systems are exceedingly complex. They're embedded within ecological systems. Ecological systems across the world are under considerable stress. They're inhabited with people who have lots of different ideas and who are continually contesting each other, sometimes nicely and otherwise. So they're very complex processes that we don't actually understand how to deal with adequately. So people would say, okay, we want to make Bombay like Singapore and Bangalore like Shanghai. Those are in some senses a false comparison, because these are ideas which may not actually work in our circumstance. And both Singapore and Shanghai have serious challenges that are embedded in the way that they're doing things. So I think it's been interesting, certainly for us. It's been a learning journey for my colleagues coming through this, and also for yourselves to be able to understand that we have set you one of the most difficult challenges that people who are going to be alive for the next 20 or 30 years, certainly your generation, maybe the generation after you, are going to be dealing with. This is a non-trivial set of challenges. This is as difficult in some senses as the people who work on pure sciences and work on genetics, the guys who are able to crack the DNA code at some point of time, the people who allowed us to fly. We take flying for granted, but flying is something that happened only 100 years ago. So this is a very complex field, and in order to understand how you can make a difference in it, you not only have to understand how specific things work. How do I improve the healthcare system in the city, or how do I improve the food system in the city? I believe there were some pizzas that were being sold here yesterday, etc. But how they all come together. The thing about complex systems are, the parts of the system interact with each other. And you cannot break it down into small parts and deal with everything in silos, because the interactions are quite intense, and in a country like ours where things are growing very quickly, in which cities are growing very quickly, the interaction is even more complicated. So what we are trying to do here is to train and educate a new generation of professionals who can actually deal with that complexity, people who are comfortable with dealing with that, which means, of course, at least two things. It means that you must understand the underlying concepts and the canons of the disciplines that underpin that. So normally when we think of cities, we think of engineering and we think of management, but there are a whole range of other disciplines that are very important. Economics, for example, is a very critical discipline. Law is a very important discipline to be able to understand how systems are managed and governed. So that's one part of it. You need to have the understanding of how the principles that drive this thing work. And the second thing is, you have to know how they translate and operationalize themselves in practice with citizens, because cities are about citizens, and we often forget that. And sometimes we've lost our way even in this discussion. With institutions in which those citizens are embedded, because we have an active democracy. It's not like another country. The embedment of the citizens and institutions is very, very important. And we are having a serious challenge at the moment in the country, because most of the institutions that we built over the last 50 or 60 years were built with a different imagination. They were built with an imagination of a country that was different, and it has changed. And you're the proof of that in some senses. So rebuilding the institutions that we have in the imagination of a different India, one that is significantly urban, will require tremendous innovation. We will have to try and build things. Many of them will crash and burn. So citizens first, institutions later. And institutions are not only public institutions, they're also in the private sector, in civil society, and getting them to work together. So one is to understand not only the theory, what the disciplines do, but how they're applied in practice. And the challenge that we have in India today is, we do not have a theory of how these cities work. So my colleagues here, many of them here and upstairs and various other places, are trying to understand what those theories actually may be like. But those theories are not built in the abstract, they're not in our heads. We test them in real life. So those of you, and I guess there will be people who've come in from the previous challenges, when you go out and try and test them in real life, you find that a lot of what we learn, especially stuff that we learn from the West, does not apply to our circumstance. Which means that you have to become theory builders in your own right, but that theory is based on a practice that is real in our circumstance. So, non-trivial problem. Complex problem in the first place. We don't actually have good theory for it, both inside this country and outside. And, most of you are students, so you're engaged with theory and books and stuff like that. But the theory only works if it can be applied in practice. So if it doesn't work, you have to build new theory. Fine? And I think and the question of building theory through practice is a fundamental and challenging question. And we have to build new kinds of institutions and new ways of learning to make that happen. And in that, to close what I was saying, failure is really important. Because it's only through failure that you can test a theory. Fine? You have an idea, and then you try and do it, and it doesn't work. So you have to get up, dust your backside off, and say, okay, I'm going to try again and try and make it better, try and make it different, and see how it works. But in that process, you always have to reflect on what you wanted to get to and how you're doing it. So we're talking about a new style of problem solving, where you need to have the theory, you need to try and apply it, but you need to be reflective to learn what it was that you didn't do adequately. And this is something that we often don't learn in our educational institutions. But that's what life is all about. And that's how we're going to become, I think, an effective and, in a sense, a great nation, by being able to do that, to learn how to fail. And maybe, your parents' generation, certainly mine, were always afraid of failure. But the generation before that, who brought us independence, were not afraid of failure. They had nothing to lose. They had to sort of lose their shackles in some senses. So I think we have to recreate that context. And we're going to rebuild India maybe 60 years after we started, after having made lots of mistakes. And we hope you guys are going to try and do that. I know some of you are going to run off to the States and to Europe and to the, wherever it is. But for many of us who circulate internationally, this is the most interesting place, and so is China and East Asia, where most of the most remarkable innovation is going to be actually operationalized over the next 20 or 30 years. So go out, do your stuff, but eventually if you really want to do something that's interesting with your life, this is the place where it will happen. Because this is where we've got all the most remarkable problems of the world, and this is the place where we have some of the greatest innovators, and we hope that some of you are actually going to go out and do that stuff. So 20 years from now when we talk and we meet, maybe some of you will say, oh well, we got this mad idea. We didn't come through on this, but we went over and then we decided to find our passion and do something concrete. So in that spirit, I think we have three very remarkable people here. And I think it's interesting. All of them have done remarkable things in practice, but they also have contributed a lot to the way that we're reframing how, in a sense, theory is built. So very quickly, on my, I guess, right, the first person is Sanjay Prakash. Sanjay is one of India's leading sort of sustainability practitioners in the area of the built environment. He has 35 years now, almost, of he's young enough to not remember, but he's got 35 years of practice in this space. And I think for those of you who are nerds, he holds a record which nobody's ever broken. I'm telling you, he's a little embarrassed at the moment. He holds a record, an academic record, which nobody's broken, because the examination that he topped in the 70s has been shut down. But basically, so when he topped the higher secondary examination in whatever 75, yeah, okay, so that's a long time back. Now you can make the calculations. The guy who came second was 10 percentage points behind him. Okay, so today, of course, getting 90% is like really bad scene, because you can't get into most places in this country. But at that point of time, high performance was getting whatever 83 or 85 or something like that. So you were in the top 1 percentile if you got it. But this guy sort of went on and got 90% and did various things. So he could have gone into any place in the country, including the IITs. They all came to talk to him and do whatever it is. But he chose to go into the design space, and has been doing remarkable work for the last 35 years in really interesting things. So for example, for a while, the largest earth dome in the world, which was built in India incidentally, it still exists on Rajpath. It's the only building in earth that sits on Rajpath at the moment, was designed and built by him. If you want to go there, you can see it. It's 25 years old. When it was built, there was no SPG at that time, but people were very worried, because Rajiv Gandhi came to open the building, that whether it will fall on his head and sort of will be one of the tools to do him in, etc. But that building still stands. But more than that, more interestingly, Sanjay about 2 years ago, built the largest bamboo dome in the world. And he did it in the most interesting place. At the Shanghai exposition, in Shanghai. So that was India's entry into the Shanghai exposition, and it was a fascinating process because they had to meet all the Chinese codal standards. They had a team that came together from across the world, but it was a remarkable building because it not only spanned, whatever, how many meters? 35 meters. That's a lot. That's a lot. To demonstrate what new technologies could be like, so it was entirely organic. It also had a wonderful covering where you grew what, about 2 lakh plants on the top? Oh, I don't know, something of that order. Yeah, medicinal herbs on the top, which actually made a wonderful pattern. So it was a living building, one of the first living buildings of its kind that were actually built, and it was one of the toasts of the Shanghai exhibition. So that's, you know, just to give you an idea of the stuff that he's done. He's also been an animator, filmmaker, and all kinds of other mad things. But he has a really good understanding of design, has trained and educated maybe a few hundred people in integrative, interdisciplinary design over the last 30-40 years. So, you know, that's, and of course, like many other people, he's educated a whole range of people. Then we have Jessica Seddon. Jessica has been a sort of a very important part of the IIHS process over the last couple of years, 3 years. She helped us build our research program. She, again, interestingly, has a very mixed background. All of us here are mongrels. We come from many different shapes and sizes. So she was educated first at Harvard, and then she went off to the West Coast and got a PhD in a business school, unnamed. But her primary work is really in trying to shift the boundaries of knowledge in information systems, in the application of the understanding of how public policy and institutions come together. Now, these may seem like esoteric things, but Jessica is an American who is actually more from Chennai than many of us. She spent many years in this country trying to understand, and, you know, if you look at the work that she's done in terms of writing, she's written more about the Indian economy than many Indian economists, has a great understanding of how institutions and processes actually work in this country, including how things happen both over the table and under the table. And if you can write papers about that, you're pretty skilled at doing stuff. She also works a lot in the last year or so on entrepreneurship and trying to see both in rural and urban areas of how entrepreneurship can actually be implemented. I mean, how entrepreneurial ideas can be implemented with Okapi, the firm that she runs. And if any of you come here at some point of time, she's one of the star sort of learners here, because our educators learn as much as people who come in to sort of learn from them in some way. In some ways, she also does a lot of work on environmental questions, especially on climate change, and a range of other issues related to the atmosphere and pollution and things like that. So basically, what you'd find for people who come through this process here is that they actually cut across a whole range of fields, because when you have a problem, you have to try and solve it in whatever ways that you can. And then finally, Rohini Nilakani. So I guess everybody sort of knows her by name and by reputation. As a professional, I guess she was at one time a media professional, but at the moment, I would say your profession is provoking people to think about really difficult questions and trying to solve them. Because among other things, she runs one of the more active and thought-provoking philanthropies in this country. And I guess one of the big challenges that Rohini is trying to do is to try and take people who have a certain amount of wealth which has been built, you know, maybe in their generation or generation before that, and apply it to problems which neither the government nor the private sector is willing to get into. So dealing with problems that are really difficult to deal with, which people don't have guts to go into, and supporting people who are willing to go out and take those challenges, you know, put their life on the line in some senses, and go and implement them. So she chairs a non-governmental agency, a foundation called Aragram, that's done some of the most innovative work on water supply and sanitation in the country. She understands the urban sector and the rural sector very well, has traveled extensively, and in some of the ideas that you have, as much as she challenges some of the leading political lights, private sector leaders, and other entrepreneurs in the country. So you can expect some googlies and dusras from her. So that's your panel that's going to sort of sit and reflect on your process, and I'll hand things over to them, and I think we're going to have an interesting time. Like I said in the beginning, the challenge here is not to win. The challenge is to challenge yourself to see whether you can actually go forward. It might seem like some spin to people, but in the long run, the great innovators of the world are all about being able to challenge yourself to do things differently, to do things better, and to find what your life is really about. Because if you find that, then the rest of it doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't matter. What you learned, what your family background is, which town you came from, it doesn't matter. So I'll sort of leave things there, and then let's get going. You guys are going to take over. So.
For the next 3 hours, I will request least of movement here. The way we would go now, the teams are allowed now, in this round, 20 minutes of presentation and 10 minutes of Q&A. Particularly Team Kaizen and Team Infite will get, it is Infite and Pavans, would get 15 minutes and not 20 minutes. That's an internal understanding. So 15 minutes for Infite and 15 minutes for Pavans. The others would get 20 minutes and 10 minutes of Q&A for everyone. We will start with Kaizen.
वीडियो भी खोल के रख लिया वीडियो पेन ड्राइव में है ही खोल लेना स्टार्ट कर
So, good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon everyone. We are Team Kaizen. Myself Piyush, this is Yashanshu, Sarang, Rohit and Vatsal. 4 of us are from VIT while Mr. Vatsal Jain is from IIM Ahmedabad. We are a group of very passionate people from very diversified backgrounds. 4 of us are from electronics background, 1 is from mechanical engineering and 1 is from management. Change. How does it change? Yeah. So our mission is to provide innovative recycling solutions while saving natural resources, at the same time adding value to the client's business. So what is the problem that we are actually going to solve? See, the water is good, but the bottles are not. India is already among top 10 water bottle consumers, and it's going to be around 30 kg per capita, the consumption by 2020. So now 60% of the plastic in India gets recycled, which looks nice when compared to the 20% recycling rate internationally. However, that's not the end of the story. The collected plastic for recycling is segregated manually, and that creates another problem. This manual segregation, as guided by Mr. Bhaskar Nair, it makes lots of impurities. There are so many impurities left, and the segregation is not accurate. Therefore, and this kind of manual segregation may create some very serious problem for the recyclers for the next elements in the chain. So, and why are we focusing so much on PET bottle is that most of the bottles that are manufactured using PET material. Oh, sorry. And another problem with plastic waste is that plastics are bulky material. They occupy lots of volume during transportation. This This increases carbon footprint, and this also occupies large landfills and makes the recycling process more, it makes more tedious. It makes unmanageable. And the impacts that we feel that we can make are basically environmental, because we want to segregate the bottles at the source itself, the very source where the bottles are induced in the system. We also feel that we can make some social impact by including rag pickers, by uplifting their lives. And we also feel that we can have some economic benefit because we are first movers in this field, and there are huge growth opportunities. Now let's see what are the growth opportunities. I'll hand over it to Yashanshu.
Thank you, Piyush. Well, talking about the opportunities, let me discuss first two case studies which we have analyzed. The first one is the Kozhikode case study. Kozhikode Corporation in Kerala started a unique recycling unit in 2013, the first recycling of its kind in 2013. But just after its 2 months of inauguration, it was about to shut down. Reason? The company or the plant was not able to get the segregated waste, and this was claimed by the workers there. The capacity there was 800 kg of plastic per day, but they were just getting 100 kg of plastic within a day. Thus they were running 3 times a week. Let's move ahead towards the Delhi station case study. By Delhi station, I mean Nizamuddin station, Old Delhi station and New Delhi station. The total bottle waste generated in Delhi station is 1875 kg. Yes, that's a huge number, and that's just the bottle waste. Moving ahead, the bottles just from the major trains such as Rajdhani was 800 bottles per day, and from Shatabdi 1000 per day. Not only this, only in New Delhi station there are around 10,800 bottles in a day, and 500 soft drink bottles. Another thing that why we think that this is as an opportunity, because even Mr. P. Chitambram said that government will encourage cities to take up waste to energy projects in the public-private relationship in the budget 2013-2014. Other than this, segregation at source, which we believe that we will be doing, is a big success. And at the same time, many cities and many stations are facing this problem. Okay. Now moving towards the technical part. As we are the electronics student and the mechanical students are here, so definitely our idea will take technical parts also. So, in case of sorting in 21st century, European countries and USA utilizes 3 types of methods, such as optical sensing method, XRT method, X-ray transmission method, and the third one is NIR technology, that is near infrared reflectance technology. While optical sensing method is most cost effective, but it's not efficient, while on the other hand, near infrared technology is very costly, but it is effective. And why I'm saying effective? Because it is capable of sorting all types of plastic, whether you talk of PVC, PET, polystyrene, polypropylene, etc. While in case of India, it's done almost everywhere, it's done manually. So, moving ahead to our basic idea. Well, our idea is to develop a sensor-based PET plastic bottle collector at the source that will crush it too. We are having a pilot run here and we'll be focusing over the PET bottles. In our initial prototype, we'll be using optical sorting because even though it is less effective, but it is cost efficient, and it is mostly used to segregate PVC bottles and PET bottles. While we have a future vision, because we believe that if your future is planned properly, then you could definitely do great work in the present condition. So in future, we believe that we'll use near infrared technology to segregate all types of PET, all types of plastic materials such as PET, PVC, HDPE, LDPE. Other than this, we have a vision that we'll install these machines at every railway station and revolutionize the railway stations. Well, so the future vision which we have here is as follows. This is the chart which we have done an analysis of a research paper published by International Journal of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. What it shows, the graph between the reflectance and the wavelength. Reflectance means the output which we are getting to the ratio of the input light which we have thrown. So as shown in the diagram, if infrared, if there is no object there, then no IR, then there is no light detected by the sensor. While on the other hand, if there is an object, then a fixed reflectance is observed by the sensor. So this we have analyzed that every material has different reflectance ratios and different reflectance properties.
So this will be our future sensing model. And why we believe that there is a need for advanced sensing model, because we need to segregate all types of plastics. Even though in our pilot run we'll be focusing over PET plastics because bottles are huge in India, but we believe that why to restrict only on PET bottles, and why not to focus over all other types of plastic materials. You might be wondering that why don't we buy these sensors directly from the European countries? Well, it's not a good solution because these sensors are very costly. Other than this, these sensors don't work for dark bottles. While as India is a different country, different people, different demands, so definitely a new sensor technology will be needed. Thus we believe that other from the grant which will be provided if we win from IIHS, and other than this, even technical support will be provided which we will utilize in creating these sensors. And why we can? Because we are electronics student and we definitely think that we can do this. So this is coming back to present. This is our basic mechanical model which we have designed. In the model you can see that there is a sliding door which opens once the specific bottle, that is the PET bottle, is detected by the sensor. The bottle enters into a crushing area where a piston is designed. Piston is there in the next slide I could show. This is the piston design which we have made. The piston crushes the bottle and reduces the volume. And now in order to collect, there is a door opening at the back from where you could collect all the bottles. Moving ahead. This is the making of our mechanical model, the iterations which we have faced, and this model is designed in the SolidWorks software. Now I would like to play a video here. Well, here the sensor detects the bottle, it enters into the piston area. The piston compresses the bottle. Finally, it enters into the storage tank. And then you can collect the bottles from there. And finally, you can transmit these compressed bottles to the recycling units. Yeah. Now back to the presentation. Mr. Vatsal will tell about the financials and the market analysis.
Yeah, hello all. So coming to the marketing research or analysis what we have done. So as Yashanshu gave a glimpse of the railway stations. So coming back to with some assumptions, a good metro station has the capability of producing almost 1000 kg of plastic bottle waste. In total at Delhi, total plastic waste collection, total plastic, it comprises of almost all types of plastics is 6758 kg. So here is a table from the report of Pollution Control Board. Also we wish to chase a target of 20% of the total 1000 kg of waste in the 4-month period of our pilot run. And coming back to 5-star hotels, so we discussed this with some of the restaurants and hotels. So the average occupancy rate, if we say considering almost all the festive and non-festive seasons, is about 40%, and hence we can assume that there are approximately 200 rooms, and so we get 80 rooms per day, and a person in a room consumes 5 to 8 bottles daily. So we come back to a calculation of 15 kg of plastic bottles from hotels, and apart from that other plastic usages are there, which is also PET, that is 10. So roughly in our pilot run we plan to cater a collection of 225 kgs of PET per day, and this is our market estimation for the pilot run. Now coming back to the potential buyers which we have, so railway stations as we have seen, malls and restaurants we have seen. One thing I would add here, why malls and restaurants? Because every mall is fighting today, or every restaurant is fighting today for a green rating, and we see that this solution can be easily pitched to them and they'll be willing to buy it because it is a cost effective, it's economical, and also it saves huge carbon footprints. Also in future we feel that the kabadi dealers, so today the final motion which we'll see of a plastic waste from a disposable point of view or a disposable place to the exit recycling unit is not just because of 1 or 2 or 3 people or centers. It's a huge channel is there which is mostly informal. So we are planning that every kabadi dealer must use our bottle in future. We should make more cheap model so that the manual segregation which is happening in India, it can be taken place through our machine. Then also the last 2 points, we can also use PET plastic, pure PET plastic for direct selling to the clothing firms and the fuel conversion firms. Now the current model, what happens in India today is, here we have the disposable grounds where the plastic is disposed by the customers. There is no segregation at all. They are carried to the local site, where because of no segregation, recycling becomes inefficient. Lots of transport vehicles are used. They are taken to the major or the hub recycling unit, and which is manual sorting is again done. Washing, shedding, extruding are the normal steps. But the problem here, these are mostly out of the town, and the process of manual sorting is costly, and there are high error rates. Also here, as volume is huge transport vehicles are required, and hence the carbon footprint is increased. Now our model with our machine, the system may change, or system should change this way. The compression and segregation will take place at the machine source. The compression will help in reducing the number of trucks who are taking away these bottles, and the recycling becomes efficient, and also there is no manual sorting at the recycling unit place. So it saves costs by adding more value to the recycled product, and there is drastic reduction in carbon footprint. So for our pilot run, we have designed this operating model. So we'll have a central collection house. So now the grants are limited, and also we as students won't be able to put much of our equities. We are mostly taking everything on lease basis. So the central collection house will be mostly on rent. We'll plan to have 2 employees at the central collection house who will be involved in all the administration tasks and managing them. There will be 2 to 3 rack pickers, because we feel in India the community, it is community based collection almost for all the plastic near the railway stations. So we don't want to hurt them, and there will be huge repulsion from their side. And also seeing the economic, apart from seeing the economic benefit, the social benefits are huge if we include rack pickers, because many of the rack pickers, they are in crores in the country, they don't have any identity, they don't have any ration card, PAN card. So this model will help in involving them. Then finally the compressed and segregated waste will be collected from railway stations or from the malls and sent to the central warehouse, and this will then direct to the recyclers, smelters and all. Mostly for transportation, of in-house transportation, we'll need a 4-wheeler loading machine, in Hindi which is called as chagla, which is very cost effective, and the only problem with it is it runs on diesel. So maybe we'll be looking for some other cheaper options, but it is easily available on lease basis and it's cheap. So we are planning to use that. Now coming out to the financials, we are planning to put the net fixed cost will be 76,000. This includes the patent cost and legal cost of registering our firm. Then also we aim of developing our model and getting with the R&D and all, we need to design a robust model which can be directly sent to contract manufacturers, and we get the machine. So net cash outflows, what we feel in the 6 months will be 2,88,000. Now some of the, how many? 5, yeah. So some of the assumptions or the numbers which we have followed are the salary employees will be 4. They will be hired for 3 months only. It will be contract basis mostly. The salary will be 6,000, which is approximate to the salary which is offered by the minimum salary wages rule. And the net variable cost will be 2,12,000 and net cash outflows 2,88,000. Now before coming to what cash inflows we will be having, the cost benefit analysis I would like to give a little thought. So the cost of machine we are proposing, the estimates we are having is approximately 15,000 to 18,000. Now we can easily get a value addition of 2 to 3 rupees per kg of segregated and compressed PET plastic. So coming to the last line, if we get a cost of a machine is 18,000, and if we target at least 50 kg of waste collection through that machine, we can easily break even in 6 months, because 1 kg will give us 2 rupees. So per day 100 rupees, in a month 3,000, in 6 months we can easily get 18,000 back. Also we see that there is a huge difference. So the normal plastic in north, it is sold as approximately 6 to 8 rupees per kg, normal non-segregated plastic, while in south it is 4 rupees per kg. So we can also improve those inefficiencies of the system by directly dealing to the right recyclers. Now coming the plastics collection, we are aiming 40 days trial on railways and 60 days trials on hotels. And also we got one input in the yesterday's presentation that getting into hotel is easy. So we were good that we have taken it for more days, and we'll be buying plastic from them at 8 rupees per kg, and we'll be selling at approximately 10 to 12 rupees maybe. So for the calculations, we have just taken 2 rupees as our cut for the financials. It will be more than that. So coming back to the model, so our financial model is basically a Coke model. So what Coke as a company do is, in India they put the machines free of cost, the refrigerators free of cost, then they press the user or the client for the assured sales, and then finally they manage the robust responsive supply chain. So whenever I am not having Coke bottles or there is shortage of cold drink, they'll suddenly or in a half day duration they'll send it. Now our, sorry, how is it? Yeah, sorry. So in our model, it will be mostly the put. So we'll put the machines on a shared basis because we have to, like, it is the first time affair, so we need to have some partnership. So 30-70 ratio may be a good ratio which we feel. Then we press for the shared revenues on the plastic collection. We'll also encourage them to get more and more plastic collection. And then we will manage a reverse logistics channel. So we won't be having a supply chain, we'll having a reverse logistic channel. Now for malls and hotels, as I already said, this will be model 2. So we'll sell them the machines directly at a premium and also give them a little bit of consultancy if they need. So say the machine got ruined or some piston is not working that way, and we'll give them give them this royalty on the basis of that they are reducing the carbon footprint as well. Now coming to our forecasted 6 months timeline. So in the phase 1, for the 3 to 4 weeks we will making the relations, we'll be gauging the demand. In the second, we'll be mostly giving the phase 2 of approximately 8 to 12 weeks for filing the patent, finalizing the machine, and we aim in a 2 to 3 months we should get a blueprint ready and a product should be ready for the launch. And in the final month we will go live, taking the feedback strategy. So going live means that everything should be in function, in place, every account should be balanced. Now the risk which we have, yes, so we are coming to a Indian scenario where all type of people will be using these dustbins. So these mechanized dustbins, so they might use it in the way a normal plastic dustbin is used. So there can be use, misuse or improper use of machines. So creating a robust machine. So for this we got a good article of ATM machines, that initially ATM was a very brave attempt, but now it is successful, and we all have in our subconscious mind, at least we young people, that yes, there will be ATM around, no need to take the cash. So maybe this machine can take such kind of future. We'll be able to educate and end the user. This is a question in front of us, and yes, in our feedback strategy last month, we'll have to be on the ground to understand the reality. The scalability at India level, yes, we are targeting government, which is the biggest buyer, and railway stations looks a very promising thing. Resistance from the kabadi dealers, yes, for that we are involving the people into our system, so there will be less resistance. It's only because it is mostly community based bonding, and the entry barriers is low, yes. So in India, even filing a patent doesn't help you from evading the chances of total copying and this. So we feel that after analyzing this risk, these should be our critical success factors. So creating a robust machine will reduce the risk of improper use, generating low cost machines and minimum operation costs, so we can scale in India. A strong relationship with the consumer, supplier and worker. This will increase the entry barrier because it's a relationship based event and involves lots of human, and the strong bonding has to be there.
So I have a couple questions about the machine, but first I wanted to understand a little more about the problem that you're tackling, and just get a sense of whether you have done any research on where the mixing occurs. Does the stream that's coming out of the hotel necessarily mix these types of plastic? Does the stream that's coming out of a railway station necessarily mix? Where does and why does the mixing occur at that particular place? What's the economic logic for why these bottles are put together?
Thank you, ma'am, for your question. The first thing which I would like to say about the railway stations, as we have done our research about the Pollution Control Board, so they have clearly stated that, first of all, our basic prototype is based on PET bottles, right? So they have clearly stated that they used to get organic waste, inorganic waste, all mixed up along with the bottles. So it's a huge, tremendous, it's a difficulty for them to segregate all these types of waste, because plastic recycling is a separate process, organic waste is a separate process. So they're facing huge problem because all these materials are sent to the recycling plants and then they have to segregate. So this was the scenario with the railway stations. Right. Other than this, if we talk in terms of a future model, so definitely yes, because even you talk about packets, so they are of plastic materials, you talk about PET bottles, you talk about PVC bottles, you talk about pipes, the polystyrene material, the caps, all these are separate materials. So definitely mixing done, because none of the individuals separate these materials. So
but at the point, so what you're asking is, I mean, the machine, my understanding is that it would detect PET from other items.
Yeah, definitely.
But the person who's putting it in, I mean, is that necessary to have this sensor technology to separate at that point in the railway station, or do you really just need the compactor? Because what's not clear is how the machine itself would somehow change whatever decision making is happening to have all of these streams of waste or all of these types of bottles mixed together? How the machine itself would change that moment?
The point is necessary, ma'am, because in case of PET recycling, if 10,000 PET bottles is mixed with one just PVC bottle, then whole recycling is gone. So because of that reason, we have included the sensor part. And that's why we feel that it's necessary, because even though India is recycling for 60%, but we don't know that whether the recycling is that proper or not.
Yeah,
that's
and
why.
ma'am, also, luckily we got in contact with Mr. Bhaskar, who has launched the first PET material in India in 1983. Yesterday also we have quoted him. Now they said they are launching some model in crores. So the yeah, sorry. So yesterday also, like we have told about him, it's like the machines which the reflectance method they have shown, these sensors have the capability, but the plants which are using them, they involve crores of rupees. Even government will think twice, thrice, 4 times of bringing those machines into this place. So why we are using sensor is just to create a package so that people may not put all types of bottles. So suppose if somebody puts a can in that dustbin, it will be a trouble for us. So what we are planning is, this question came in our evaluation with the mentors. So we'll having this machine will be juxtaposed with a normal dustbin. So there you can throw. So if the socket is not opening because your bottle is not PET, you can easily throw it on the right hand side in the pilot run. And secondly, it's a cultural change. Yes, exactly what you mentioned. So the culture has to be changed. Now what we follow, what we felt here was, if you see the whole value chain, the lot of greed is involved. The people are not very educated. Mostly they are self-run business kind of thing. So their main aim is to collect as much as plastic they can. And the whole scene in India is running that way. Nobody is thinking of segregating it. Now if we will be just 0.01% of the total market, even what we are talking about, in one station or 2 stations or even 100 of stations. So we are just planning to create that culture so that we can give more value, more incentive, that is money, to these people, kabadi dealers and all in the recycle chain, and at the same time create a culture for the customers that 5 years down the line somebody educated must feel, yes, there should be some dustbin on this platform and we should go and put our PET bottle there. So this is our overall aim, vision.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, so your model involves using the same businessmen, the kabadis, who are currently in this business, and piggybacking on them?
Yes sir, it's 2 ways. So one is the customer, which we need to change the culture. So we'll have these dustbins almost in all the railway stations. Now once we have there, it is segregation at source. Now but we, with the mentorship and all, we feel that, and also talking to other people, people might not feel that I am standing out of in my railway station in a coach. I won't feel to go at some 50 feet away and throw the bottle. So for that, to increase the collection of plastic waste, we need to involve these people who collect plastics from almost whole of these stations. So these rack pickers will provide us the material.
Are you looking at skilling this person who's a partner in a way that will make him or her more and more connected with your business and completely a champion of this business? Otherwise, what is there to reverse engineer it and run away with your machine?
Yes sir, so machine will be mostly, we'll model it with a heavy kind of machine which you cannot run away obviously. So that issue will take care. Yeah. And secondly, what we feel sir, so many of these programs in IIM Ahmedabad are running. So one of the, this idea of involving rack pickers has come from there. What they do is they put they give a small ownership to the kabadi dealers as well. And what these dealers do is, like, you again make a cut. So you say them, you collect this much of plastic, you use our machine and give us this much segregated plastic at the end of the day, we'll pay you higher than what is involved.
What is recycled PET used for?
It's used for various reasons. For example, some people convert plastic to fuels, some people convert plastic to clothing, so it's used for various such reasons. For example, clothing, from I think 30 PET bottles you can manufacture a pair of shorts.
And what is the byproduct of that process?
Byproducts, we haven't. Yes.
Finally, everything goes somewhere, and it's worthwhile to know whether you're creating a new waste stream.
Yes, so definitely. And one more point I wish to add, that there is a myth that the recycled PET could not be used to make the PET bottles again. We have searched a lot and we found Mori Recycling present in USA, and they work for this recycling reasons, and they have specifically said that even if you recycle plastic materials, it's not necessary that it will be downcycled, right? We could use the PET recycled material again to create PET bottles.
Okay, another technical question is, what that thought scared me that a slight amount of impurity can make that entire segregation go waste. What parts, how many parts in 1,000 or how many parts in 1,000,000? You will typically find a PET bottle is capped with something that's non-PET.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, what happens? The machine slot won't open?
PET bottle is definitely kept with the polypropylene material. The caps are polypropylene. But while in the recycling process, since these two materials have different specific gravity, so they use for the recycling process, they use a solution through which these bottle caps come on the top of the solution, and the PET bottles enter into the bottle. So since your doubt was related to the PET bottle caps and the PET bottles, so it's okay. But if we talk in terms of PVC material and PET material, so even by manual sorting you can't recognize. So that's a different case.
So you are expecting the user to unscrew the cap?
Yes, sir. So
yes,
yeah.
Cap storing box won't open. So somehow change it so that.
Yes, sir, definitely. We have thought about that. We could, because why we need to unscrew the bottles, the reason is, if suppose you are compressing the bottle cap is there, since the air will be there, then it won't be compressed. So in order to modify the...
Screw the cap and throw away the blue cap, let's say.
No, sir, we have...
I'm still left with a ring.
So,
I'm still left with the ring that's...
Yes, sir, definitely.
That's polypropylene and not PET at all.
So even you are left with the ring and you are left with the covering, right? The paper covering about the company. So definitely this process is taken out at the recycling plants. So it's not an issue because they have this whole process. But what they are suffering from, separating through manual sorting, they are suffering from separating PVC bottle and PET bottles because you can't visually separate them. Sorry.
Pretty much similar to the leak.
Yeah. And any other questions?
Yes, sir. And here was the fact.
I was curious. You seem to be almost propagating a lifestyle whereby you are accepting that plastic use is here to stay and will increase. While there are some of us in the room who might argue exactly the reverse, that plastic use may have been here to stay, but it's a 20th century phenomena and it might decrease. In which case will your businesses run down?
Sir, as of now, if the current state is already there, I don't think our lives will be sufficient to cater the whole Indian market. This is what an analysis say. And at least the current mess is there, whatever is there related to plastic, it will be there. And even if we can cater 1%, it will be great for us. So some of the queries which were like put yesterday, so that we have found out, so the location will be Ahmedabad, and we'll be focusing more on malls initially than railway stations.
Actually, if you can just explain to me what is the incentive for the hotel, can you describe that? Yes. Financial incentive again?
Yeah. So
or the hotel or any
yes. So hotel and mall, they all are moving towards getting a green rating something. So just 30 seconds. So in a green rating thing, if such kind of things they involve, they always keep some amount of their expenses, profits for these things. So as we inquire 20,000 is a small thing, but again the issue is that this bottle must be everywhere, it should be on the every floor. How many of such bottles are there? So I think this we need to work.
Last point, actually, I hope the world will move towards producer responsibility, okay? So that the producer of such waste has responsibility for the whole chain, taking it back.
Yes,
you might want to sell this to the problem makers themselves.
Yes, ma'am. So Bisleri,
so they take back this, I mean, they place the bottles along with the Pepsi machine or the Coke machine. It is placed next to that, and it's producer responsibility. So I'm saying there's a whole new idea, because there's more public pressure on them than there is on hotels right now.
Yeah, ma'am, and this reverse logistics channel concept came from there only. So now Nokia has recently set up one getting the e-waste system. So I think that way this can also work in future. We'll take it further.
And can't these machines be provided free of cost?
Yes, a rent. So
everybody will feel odd paying 80,000 rupees for an technology.
Yes, sir. So, sir, that we'll need to figure it out, but I think in government cases, rent doesn't work and we won't be able to deal with them. So, it's better to sell them and then give them some consultancy. This is what we feel. Private we can sell. So, in our second model, we have directly selling machines to malls and restaurants. So, I think that will help. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next team presenting would be Team Transpose.
think I'm fine with this. But could I just have a mic in his hand? Yeah, the next one we'll be done by 10. Does this one work? Just switch it on and give it to me. Start. Hello, I'm Chiranjay Shah. This is Jaideep Beniwale. We are two second-year undergraduate students at CEPT University, Ahmedabad, and our team comprises of 5 members. All of us are classmates. Yes. So there have been 25 teams over here, and what we've observed is that most of them have been into real social problems, and they've had their startups because of them, where actual grassroots social problems have been tried to solve. But one of the main social problem where all of us are handicapped is that of traffic congestion. As soon as you put that key inside the vehicle and you sit in the car every morning, you are handicapped. So what is the problem? There's an inability of designated infrastructure to sustain the ever-increasing growth in vehicular numbers. So what has actually happened is that the infrastructure allotted in our cities is not being able to cope up with the rising number of vehicles. And this is causing problems to the people in terms of cost, traffic infrastructure, energy, time, and also health. So what is being proposed by the government presently? Well, they follow a pretty unidimensional follow a very unidimensional approach now, where if there's an increase in number of vehicles, you have to relate it directly to widening of roads and providing mass transit, giving workforce. But what are they lacking? Well, they're lacking optimization of the needed resources of whatever we actually have. They're providing flyovers, mass transits, railways, but it's not, the change is not yet evident. So on what basis are these constructed? Well, to construct all of these you need a lot of data and big data, and especially for so many people. So to actually get and acquire this data, they use these physical surveys, where surveyors are actually sent to the site for 7 days, 7 surveyors for 7 hours a day, and they're actually made to work, and then you're expected to have the needed accuracy. Yeah, that's going to happen. So it is a really prehistoric form of actually getting our data when you want to construct such large number of infrastructure for such a amount of people. So what happens because of these surveys is that it is time consuming, it is error sim, and it is redundant. Because if I have a survey for a week for a project that is going to happen for 4 years later, I'm not going to have the same results. So such data proves to be redundant. So what we as Transpose plan to do is we try to automate the whole process. What we try to do is we provide cheap sensors of using off-the-shelf components, install them at heights, and what we will do is we'll actually count the number of vehicles, analyze that data, form patterns, trends, activities, and then totally optimize this and sell it in the form of data packets. So yes. So this is the mechanism. This is, suppose there are multiple junctions in a particular area. What we plan to do is we plan to install these sensors at these junctions, and we plan to grid it and gather all the data and pool it at a central pooling site maybe. And what we then do is we actually process all this data and then get the needed analytics and then sell it in the form of data packets, or in the form of or sell it to the infrastructure agencies, the government, the private, the research, whoever needs it. So Jaideep here will actually show you the code as to how the whole sensor actually works. I'm not coming. Take the laptop. Actually, the whole thing is linked, so yeah. So the laptop only, no? Yeah. So this is the code, and we actually had a trial run at this place called Himalaya Mall Road in Ahmedabad, and this is what our sensor actually does. It counts the number of vehicles and gives the direction and the size of vehicles, and then accordingly segregates it.
And it is not not just the numbers, but as well as it gives the kind of vehicles. It analyzes the shape and size of the movement, and according to that, it decides whether it is a pedestrian, is it a car, is it a two-wheeler, what it is. So that way, it is pretty intelligent to recognize and segregate between them. We get these kinds of patterns at the back end, and from these patterns we analyze various things, and we can see where the traffic and all those things are there.
Where it's getting more congested, or what route the vehicle is actually following.
Yeah.
And then what we do from this data at a micro scale is we try to explode it to a macro one, and we actually try to coordinate these small junctions or these small areas, such as this IM Road, Helmet Circle, Passport Office. These are all small micro area junctions, and we grid it onto a major one.
And we can actually see how these junctions are interlinked, what the effect of traffic congestion there is having here, and how a whole system is linked to each other. Not a junction is not independent, but it is a whole system which is linked. So it has to be understood as a system, so we can make a better system, not just a small a jigsaw puzzle which has to fit in it. It has to be a whole system which has to be thought of.
Yes. So this is a sensor. What are the advantages of having one? Well, it's cost effective because it uses the off-the-shelf components, normal components that an everyday phone has: a processor, camera, and a transmitter and some memory. And also what we actually do with this is that many of our competitors usually are into this field. But what they do is they take the video and they actually transmit it to the back end, where then it is analyzed. But what happens in the transmission of the video is that the cost increases heavily. And what we do is that our sensor actually takes in the video, processes it, and chucks the video away. So various things like government regulations where you're supposed to take, where you're allowed to take a video feed for not more than half an hour, such limitations are eased by. Also, it is provisionally patented under the USPTO, and it is also 96% accurate from all the trials we've done. This is our team. As I told you, we are from a urban infra-oriented kind of a university. So we already have many projects which are taking place, and there is a certain involvement by us in those projects already. Also, our mentors are such that they are already into many different verticals, which is actually helping us to enhance our product. This is the market.
To begin with, so we have done a market analysis to understand what kind of consumers are there for this product. So one of the consumers are the infrastructure management and construction management companies who take the tenders to fill up the tenders and make and propose projects and construct those projects. Even the municipal corporations and urban local bodies who need to propose projects, they need this data. So they are one of our consumers. And the agencies which regulate systems like the traffic lights. So if this system is installed, the traffic lights management would be much easier and the congestion can be reduced in practice. So
also, I'm actually belong to Pune. So over there, the Pune BRTS has failed heavily, and it has been proven by everyone now, all the researchers. So why has it failed? Well, it has failed because even they've admitted is because they did not they were not able to actually gauge the kind of vehicles that were there or what is going to actually happen. All the bases were just dependent on assumptions and outdated data. So what we are trying to do is actually understand our market in terms of opportunities and competition.
Yeah, so this is a market research in terms of competition, that what other companies are doing and which are the verticals they are into, and that's how we have placed a product into the segment which we felt was much needed and which we can be comfortably into.
So we already have really big players such as MIT Sensible City Labs who are working very efficiently on this, and then we have IBM, Google, and then there's this one called Solomo which is really doing similar stuff, but all this is abroad.
Now some quick financial information. Our total capital requirement in a span of 4 years is 50 to 55 lakhs. It is but initially we need 4 to 5 lakhs to make our prototypes more efficient, to have some pilot projects, and to recruit people, to have people who can make the system more efficient and make it more accurate. Apart from that, a sensor costs us around 5 to 6,000 rupees, and each junction needs about 1 or 2 sensors depending on the local conditions. So for our first project, we are planning to about have 40 to 50 junctions graded in a city. So for that we need about 12 to 15 lakhs of investment.
This also includes a large amount of installation and maintenance costs. So even if the sensor is cheap, we have to actually look after all these other costs. Well, thank you.
The accuracy of the sensor, you said it was 96% accurate. Can you explain what that means? Is it in terms of, does it not miss cars? Is it accurate in saying which type of vehicle?
It's accurate in terms of the count. What happens is when a physical surveyor actually goes to site, his mind might wander some places and he might miss somebody. But the sensor has the video feed, and every time you cross one bar over there, it's going to count you no matter what. So in terms of that.
And it's always able to separate one vehicle from another.
So that's why it's 96%, because
96. Okay, so that was
sometimes if there are 2 people walking, it causes a problem presently. Yeah.
That your software seemed to only catch movement. Is that a conscious decision? When vehicles and people moved, that's when the recognition, whatever the data recognition module is, that's when it used to kick in.
Yes, basically it is where we began with, because we did not have the such skills to have make it a better better software. So like we're researching on a better method. We are trying to improve the software to actually not just based on the movement, but on the shape or size of the object, it can intelligently know that. But right now, as we are freshly into after the schooling, we have directly into this course. So we have no technical background as such. This is where we have taken help of others and built this thing.
A group of hobbyist coders. Maybe.
So we are all a group of hobbyist coders, and all we have done this. So once we have a technical expertise, or we can hire some technical expertise, we can improve the technology even better.
I think what he's asking is, have we intentionally tracked the movement, or is it just, or can we just do stationary? Suppose the car is parked, so could we?
Stationary ideally has to be there, because it might also affect how the effective road width would be, because parking can reduce the effective road width, roadside parking.
Can we sense that?
We can. It is possible.
Yeah. What would this kind of software sell for? What would Google pay for it?
The cost?
Why are you even talking about a business when in fact you could be trying to sell it as a software product?
Okay. What Google does presently is that it triangulates its data based on velocity. So we do not know how much they would actually value our data presently, but from our business model is actually pretty safe. When we went to the next big idea competition in Bangalore, the mentors actually said this is too less and you're supposed to increase it to 5 crore or something like that. So yeah, but we are also gauging the fact that we are students and we have to play it safe a bit, and 5 crores and 50 crores is a lot.
Understood the value add that you all have created with this product. It seems to me the entry barrier for doing it is quite low. Correct me if I'm wrong, that any agency that is given a contract to say ease congestion, maybe just now they are using physical methods or making people stand around and count cars. But is it very much of a leap for them to say it will be more effective for us to do it this way, or they will become your customers instead of creating this software themselves? What I want to understand is, how much value add have you done which somebody else can't quickly do?
Yes. The benefits are that one is a background, and so what we do is we might just take the data, but our background actually helps us to analyze it too. So what comes with the vehicle count is an analysis, and so in our business model, which we have not shown, is we could either just sell them the data saying these are the number of vehicles, do what you want with it, or we could give them a backing saying we could help you with the consultancy part.
And it is not just a business or something we want to develop. It is an understanding which we want to create. New theories can be developed on this understanding that how junctions are, how the width of the road with the number of junctions connected to it. So how does it work? How does junctions in conjunction to each other work? So it is another, a new area can be found out, new theories, new explorations can be done in that area. So that is where we are opening this, a new dimension to this whole problem.
Yes. At a particular series of junctions, have you all actually thought through, okay, if I were a city planner, here's what I would say, a congestion tax, or reduction of traffic going from 7 AM to 9 PM, or something that's obviously coming out of your analysis?
Well, if you saw the one where we had synced the micro level junctions to the major one, Jaideep actually proposed, or rather told me this one day, that if the PCOs are greater or something, we see.
PCU is basically the public passenger car unit, which is a standard unit used for the vehicular congestion. And we also had, as our sensor can also sense whether it is a car or a bus. So we also know whether how much transit units are there on the road. So for example, if there is high number of PSU and less number of transit units, we can propose a transit system to make the transit system better. And if there are PCU numbers are high and transit units are also high, so we can also propose a mass transit corridor between that. So a separate corridor for the transit unit, so that where the transit units are causing congestion, they can have a different route altogether. So these are different things we can know from that. Videography and processing happens at the instance, yes, because it is happening in the local memory of the sensor.
This seems to be telling me, is one of your teammates a traffic person also?
No, all of us are class.
The mentors are there.
Some of your mentors are, okay. So this is clearly pointing out to a future development which would make for a live traffic control system, changing the lengths of the red light and the green lights, for example.
Syncing, yes.
Dynamic traffic lights.
There are about 100 verticals that we have. One is the app also, but we for now just as an entry or a jump, we are targeting this one vertical.
The problem with your current situation is that everybody might just yawn and say, well, this can be done. But if you were to really try to make somebody sit up and say, oh, this is something else, you might want to do a simulation of 5 or 6 junctions simultaneously in Ahmedabad and show how dynamic system control would, you could simulate it, this you can't do really, but you could simulate how that dynamic system control could be used with your app to create better traffic with existing roads, existing red lights and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Actually, a related question. So when you're tracking the vehicle movement, can you discern different patterns of movement, whether it's kind of smoothly flowing or more chaotic, like getting around barriers? Does the sensor pick that up, and can you do analytics around that?
Yeah, the lines and the dots which were there, those patterns and those lines can be used where maximum turning radius has to be there, or where the maximum accidents are happening, where is the probability of maximum accidents happening. So in that way, you can design the road like that, so where there is a blind spot between a turning radius. So if that is the problem, we can identify with this system.
And things like that.
Yeah.
How accurate is it in being able to sense the individual vehicle movements and the dimensions? Because you had just said the 96% was picking up a car when there's a car. And then these other parts of what type of vehicle for the passenger unit and the direction and things like that.
96% is that if there's a truck over here and I have just a small, I can see just one wheel about a two-wheeler nearby, then it takes the whole thing as a truck and it ignores the two-wheeler. So we still are working on that presently.
Because that would be the ability of the sensor to actually deliver this fine-grained data is kind of the essential piece into the analytics.
I'm sorry. If you were to get this money, where would you invest? Where would you start? Ahmedabad.
Yes, Ahmedabad.
Yeah. Have you got any permissions to do so?
Well, yes, we have. Like some of our faculty members are already. Well, him we have not yet approached because he's really big. But there's another one, Professor Utpal Sharma. He has actually granted us, or at least told that y'all could test this at a large-scale level at the Ahmedabad airport for the parking, syncing and things like that.
Because it can be used for parking management, dynamic parking management. It can also be used where, GPS systems, where you can reroute your, when you have a GPS with you and you know where the traffic is. So you can reroute yourself to another route and avoid that. So that is, can be.
You had a question? Yeah. Give the mic.
So my question is, with the conventional system, the major problem is that they are not able to account for double counting of vehicles. For example, the single road is being, crossed by the same vehicle a number of times. So how do you do that? No, but how do you account for the number of vehicles? The same vehicle is, being counted 4 times if it is crossing the same path 4 times. So how do you, are you able to identify whether it has been passed once or twice or thrice? How many times? Like?
Well, if that vehicle is going to pass 4 times, it's going to do that at different times, and so it will be one of the contributors to if there is traffic or something. So you do not look at the vehicle as the same one, you look at it as different entities at different time. So we are concerned with the analysis, but not of which vehicle it is and what number plate it has and which color it is.
But suppose if you have to account the number of vehicles present in a state, then how do you do that? And if you talk about Delhi, there are cab systems. These cabs keep moving throughout the days. They take multiple transits. So how do you count the number of vehicles exactly?
We don't. Our main motive is not of counting the total number of vehicles in the city. It is more about how the space is getting affected because of the vehicle.
Okay, and it is also not able to count for if suppose the vehicle is a Delhi number or a UP number. So if in case I want to know it's because of intercity transport or because of the within city transport, I can't do that also, right?
Our system does not do that. Presently there are systems where, when you break the traffic and you circumvent or you go away from the traffic signal when the signal is red. So there are systems already which do electronic billing. The challan, e-challan systems are there. So we are pretty much capable of doing that. So this can be combined with that and the system can be made better. That's definitely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess you guys are using processing, right?
Yeah.
So you was basically using 4 pointers or 8 pointers to map the cars.
Ask.
Yeah. While using processing, it's very difficult because there's gonna be over mapping, right? One car, then other car, because you're gonna take feed like this. You can't take feed from the top. So I've been using the same thing processing for doing this in metro rail, but how will this work out? How will this work out? How is it gonna give you accurate results? Because there are a lot of constraints. Lightning, first of all. Second, the point-based, for face recognition, you need 32 points, and it's very close. For such a, so many buses, so many cars, how will you get the feed?
Face recognition is a very, very specific thing.
Micro.
It is a very high.
Face recognition is a very sensitive thing because a face it is for security reasons. Yeah. So you need a very high accuracy for that. In terms of recognizing vehicles, it's the size which matters than the how does it look, because you are not interested in whether it is a Maruti car or a Zen or that. So you do not need that much of accuracy, which can be brought in at a later stage. But it is a prototype, so that's why it is not. We are not able to do it right now. So we are into development stage. That's why this much is what we have achieved till now.
Is that all? Yeah. Thank you.
The next team coming is Pavans. 15 minutes.
Good afternoon, judges, and to one and all present here. We are the Pavans, Shankhanil Chaudhary, myself Prasanjit Lahiri, and Saurav Chaudhary. So the thing we've tried to do here is target a healthcare problem and worked out a solution for the same. As we see now, the Indian population now is aging. 98 million people are over the age of 60, and by 2050, this number is expected to be 240 million. Also, the shift in diseases is from communicable to non-communicable diseases, example, lifestyle-related diseases like cardiovascular diseases, etc. So, we've done something related to that. Now, our vision is to be the leader in innovation in healthcare and provide product and services for the betterment of the human condition. We understand the value in human relationships and believe technology to be the facilitator for a healthier, happier life. Now, what the medical system actually is, it will be explained by Shankhanil.
Yeah, so the medical alert system is basically an alert system that sends out a message when you are there's a base station that you put in your home, in your premises, and it talks to an end device. The end device is wearable. It may be a bracelet or a pendant. And what this end device does is it has an SOS switch built in it. So when that SOS switch is pressed, it uses Bluetooth to talk to the base station. The base station then has software processing capabilities in it. It runs an emergency protocol and it sends out messages to your registered hospital, and it sends out messages to your friends, family, neighbors. The reason for the base station, the main reason for having a base station is that we are reducing the complexity of the end device, the wearable device. So it can be as small as possible. It can be waterproof, so you can wear it in the shower. So that's the basic model that we have. Yeah, so as you can see, the two technologies that we will use to communicate is either GSM or the internet. So we can communicate via the internet using an NIC network interface controller, or we can communicate using a GSM modem. So these are the basic three models that we are offering. This is the product pyramid. At the lower end, you have the internet model. That is the base model that runs on the internet, and this service acts like an over-the-top service. On top of that, you have the GSM modem that communicates via the cellular network, and on top of that, you have the biometric monitoring. Yeah, that one. No, the red one. So as you can see, there's a pulse oximeter, a heart rate monitor, blood pressure monitor, temperature sensor, and all of these feed their data into the bracelet, and the bracelet can then send the data to the base station, and it can be sent to a main server that may monitor and record. There can be software to adjust thresholds so that it falls beyond a certain limit. Emergency services can be immediately called. So there are, this has its strengths, and each and every model is catered to a specific audience and has its strengths and weaknesses. So you have the GSM modem. The GSM, actually that technology is ubiquitous now, and the reach is much higher. Also, the GSM is not predicated on a modem, so you don't need a modem. So what happens is, if there is a power cut or a power failure, and you have a backup battery in the GSM modem, then it can communicate and send emergency response irrespective of that. So the internet modem of course has its its advantages. As you can see here, as we approach the year 2020, it is the age of the Internet of Things. So many devices will talk to each other, and that gives us a platform for introducing many new services, never before seen services. And as the bandwidth keeps increasing, as we supply more and more bandwidth to the users, we can also have more bandwidth hungry services that we can provide with just basic software tinkering. So we can have medication reminders or medical test reminders given to the patient directly. So what we are offering is actually a bundled service. So this is the medical alert system that we talked about. That comes with the medical ID app. The medical ID app is actually an app that the paramedics or the first emergency responders will have. Your medical ID will come with a your medical alert system will come with a medical ID imprinted on it, and when you search for this medical ID, it will give you all the critical health information of that particular patient. So the help that you need reaches you on time. On top of that, you get the right kind of help. So this is the basic flow chart. You check the medical ID on the bracelet, input ID into the search field, retrieve and glance through the information, and you can make an informed decision on how the treatment should take place, so that you're not administered drugs you are allergic to. It gives much more insight on why you are facing that particular emergency. We'll just give you a short demo of the medical ID alert system. So at present, that is the base station, that is the bracelet, and when you press the button, you get a immediate. We have 4 settings now, 4 different switches for 4 different things that you may suffering. Maybe you're short, you're feeling short of breath, or you are having a chest pain, etc.
Yeah, so the need for the medical alert system, as I already said, the increasingly aging population and the shift to lifestyle-related diseases. Also, the points of difference. This particular system does exist in the Western countries, but the business model we have thought of is different. The most distinct thing is their system has a BPO. The alert goes out to a call center from where they call back the patient. But we thought that the patient may not be in close proximity to the phone or may not be able to attend it at the time. So we send the alert out to your friends and family and also the hospital, who can immediately dispatch the emergency services. Also, our device is low in cost and also more energy efficient. Now the key factors for success is healthcare sector contributes to almost 5.2% of the GDP, and also the private sector contributes to 66% right now, which is expected to grow up to 81% in 2015. Now the offering that Shankanil already said, we have the medical alert system along with the medical ID app. Now our USP is this technology hasn't been used in India in this way, and also the Bluetooth low energy is something that saves battery lives, and one battery can go up to a year, so you don't need to worry about the battery running out. The production, we won't be producing the bracelet and the thing, so we'll import the components for the same and we'll just assemble it. Our motto is sourcing, assembling, testing, sales and marketing, and then after sales. Now, so this way we'll save on the manufacturing costs, like machines and stuff that we need. These are the various device components. Our basic strategy is to focus on the niche category and then move on to the broader aspects, like the biometric model that we have. It'll cost a little more, so we are targeting the niche products for the same. But the lower end models, like the internet and the GSM, it'll be targeted to all the regular, to the low income groups as well, so that their reach will be more. Also, since the biometric model is on the top of the product pyramid, that way the profits that come over there will trickle down to finance the lower end models. The pest analysis is done to gauge the environment of the business. So here we see that the Indian government spends considerably less compared to other developing nations in the healthcare sector, but it does encourage FDIs, and so also the technological part is important, because the internet penetration in cities like Bangalore and Ahmedabad is quite high, but it's not the same for the rest of the country. Now the Porter's 5 forces, it tells us about the attractiveness of the market. Now if we can see the threat of substitutes in competitive rivalry, there's almost no competitor that serves the exact same thing. So that way it's a good position to be in for us. So what strengths and weaknesses have already been covered by Shankanil, and these are the opportunities and threats. So we plan on capitalizing on the opportunities and then minimizing all these threats. Moving on, the distribution. We have decided to distribute our product through hospitals. We won't be selling it directly to the customers because we feel that to ensure the help reaches the people on time, it is important for the hospitals to give it out to the customers who stay in close proximity to them. So that way, they, as soon as the alert is sent out, they can dispatch the services. Now, why would the hospitals sell these? We are providing a 15% margin to the hospitals, so they have an additional revenue stream. Also, the hospitals will have a dedicated customer base for the same. Now, the cost. The cost of this particular prototype that we built came out to be approximately 8,000 rupees. Now, if we produce in bulk, we've estimated the price to come out to 2,792. Now, if we are to sell it in the market, we will be selling it for 6,000, including all the capital expenditure that we have incurred and also the overheads. Pricing will follow the elastic pricing, and also the first thing that we'll do is, with the grant money, we'll make 50 prototypes and we'll give 25 prototypes to the government hospitals and 25 to the private hospitals. This will be a test marketing stage, and so the feedback that we receive, that we can find out the demands of the customers and the demand in the market for the product, and also if we need to add any other functionalities or something else. Our target customers, as we mentioned, is the elderly population, patients suffering from cardiovascular diseases, and the individuals who need constant monitoring. Now, risks. We have, our business model has a number of risks. The financial risk is the lack of adequate funding that's available to us. Also, the technological risk cannot be avoided. Battery life, I mean, it has a 1-year battery life, but still it can malfunction. And the equipment failure, network traffic, these are the technological risks. Then we come down to strategic risk, like say the product's supposed to pick up pace in the healthcare sector. That's one. And the operational risk is like assembly process has some faults, stuff like that. And functional risk. The occurrence of false alarms cannot be ruled out. I mean, someone can just press the button and then help arrives, but there's no need for help. So that thing can be misused. But we've tried to keep it to a minimum with the aesthetic ergonomic design. Now, to manage the risk, we've thought that we can easily come into these spheres as well: women safety, child monitoring, because all we need to do is just implement a GPS device on the same GPS component, and with the same components we can make a bracelet for women's safety and also children monitoring. So that's all. Thank you.
I think a challenge is going to be on the demand side. I think in health, really, the demand has not caught up.
Yeah.
Even for very vulnerable patient populations. But the insurance companies might be more interested, so that they can.
That is also one of our target demographics.
Than patients themselves, unless there are NRIs who want their elderly parents to compulsory wear a bracelet. I don't know, but. Seriously though, the insurance companies, for them, if it means less in-hospital stay payouts, because that's what it could lead to if the hospital agrees and the patient population agrees. That's where, because so that's two points. The third point is, your false alarms thing might be a very serious issue, because you are saying right now you're going to do pulse and heart rate and stuff. I mean, that doesn't give any information. Unless, if I'm about to have a heart attack, that's not enough.
Yeah,
right? So what have doctors said to you about this? Is this enough knowledge for them to say, okay, you are critical, I'm going to send you an ambulance in 5 minutes?
Yes, ma'am. The thing is, the pulse rate can go up and down. It can fluctuate, right? The thing that actually is troublesome to a doctor is the gap between pulses. So if you're having that anomaly, and the software monitors that closely, it does not just look at your heart rate can go up for any number of reasons. And if it sends a message, then it's just no use. If your temperature sensor, like the temperature sensor, will send out a message if your temperature also starts going above a particular threshold. That works very straightforward. But for the pulse, you have a different software to monitor that aspect of it. And as for the false alarm system, alarms and all that, we are placing the button on the side of the bracelet, so it reduces a little bit of when you sleep or roll over or whatever. And like you saw in the design, the prototype, what we did was we had different buttons. One button calls, for help, like the medical emergency, you're having an exigent circumstance. Or the other buttons are, maybe they will be forwarded to your physician, because you're having like shortness of breath, or you're just having a little bit of a, difficulty in something. So That's how we are minimizing the risk of false alarms.
What the percentage of false alarms are in, in when this service is offered in Western countries? And what is the nature of some of the false alarms?
According to them, the false alarms, because they don't immediately call for help. Because what they do is when you press the button, a call center executive from their trained executive, they call you back. So then they can talk to you, because the base station is actually like a cordless phone on speaker. So when they call you, they can ask you if it's a genuine alarm or not. But since this system is automated, and we are ruling out that section completely, because also we don't have a centralized emergency service response system in India, so it has to be funneled through the hospitals in order to dispatch this. So yeah.
And have you thought about who would pay for the false alarms, or who would bear the cost in the case that that a team is sent out, and
I mean, since we are distributing through the hospitals, I think that would be their overhead, because they are the ones sending out the response team.
And that's something that have you
it's
talked to
something
the
we are
hospitals
actually
about?
working on improving.
Okay.
We also have an idea that the alarm has to be pressed for a particular threshold.
Right.
Like if you activate it by accident, that's a different thing. But if you have to press it, keep pressing it for like 5 seconds or something, then it sends it means a genuine response is required.
And then and just one last question is, what kind of information systems is kind of the minimum requirement for a hospital to be able to use the information that comes in on that? And how many hospitals actually have that in place now?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of hospitals, even like Manipal and all, they already have their database. So when we are looking at the perspective of the app, the critical data information, that can be linked to a person's existing database. So the overheads there aren't, most hospitals have that facility, even more so because the FDI investment is increasing. There are more and more hospitals coming into the place, so competition is fierce. So when you provide this service, that will also, one more point there is that it will also regulate itself in quality, because you will have hospitals competing with each other for for providing better service.
But are these hospital information systems relatively interchangeable? I mean, if this is an emergency product, then even if you're a member of MIAT, you might end up at an Apollo.
This will be
so this is translatable across MIAT,
across
Apollo,
all across all hospitals, everything. This is just the critical. That's why we're not we don't have detailed health information. We just have the critical. Are you diabetic? Yes, you are. Are you allergic to this particular rifampicin or whatever, this medication? Yes, you are. So all of this information is essential, because you come and you administer help. Even if help gets there on time, there can be misdiagnosis, and it just leads to a very sad situation. So.
While I'm happy to see that you looked at the issue of power outage and such specifically Indian conditions, it didn't strike me as something that I would be interested in if I were responsible for, let's say, public health levels in unauthorized colonies in my city. Or would it? Am I wrong in assuming this? This strikes me as being a cardiovascularly driven industrial society type of diseases, panic button system.
No, you can also use it for Alzheimer's or dementia, and you have a lot of, you can reach out to a lot of people with disabilities who have gotten into themselves into a difficult, situation. So this is, this market is wide. Yeah, we can tailor it to a user's need. And also the, as we said, the biometric model, that is a high-end model. So, and the profits from that will trickle down to the other models, and we can, partner with different hospitals to provide them to lower, the extremely low income groups.
Incentivized to want this kind of thing, because are they short of emergency situations? I mean, they seem to me not even capable of dealing with the emergencies they have. So I mean, your assumption is that hospitals are saying, oh good, there are some more emergency is there now, let's bring them into our...
Yeah, but this is like you said, ma'am, this is also a monitoring device that gives your physician in that particular hospital a more holistic view of this person's health. So, you know, even the physicians in the hospital that are catering to this particular patient are well informed because of the monitoring system. As well as far as the basic service goes, yeah, it is, I mean, when you look at the brand image and the fierce competition and the need for innovation in this sector, I feel that yes, they will be incentivized to make an effort at least to, you know, reach that 5 minutes earlier, or you know, that really makes a difference.
I think what I like, I don't know, we are, I think a bit away from getting to where your model will really scale, but I think the fact that it allows a user, so if I buy it, I can say if my mother-in-law is not well, friends network or family network that can be alerted in the first circle.
Exactly.
The next circle can be the physician circle.
Exactly.
Or the
so if you
circle.
fall down in your bathroom and emergency services cannot access you, and if your neighbor has the key to your apartment, he can immediately come and help you. Yeah. So
thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, thank you.
Next team, Unlearn.
Good afternoon. We're team Unlearn from SJC Mysore.
I'm Sunaina.
And I'm Vinisha.
A couple of months earlier, I actually visited a convention in Bangalore at the KTPO Convention Center. It was India's largest student convention. And with over 5,000 students, the event itself was amazing. We had India's youngest CEOs talking about how they are implementing their ideas, and it was definitely inspiring. It made an impact. But then again, there was another impact that I could observe when I was having lunch. Lunch was at the venue, and there were bins which were overflowing of used plates and food and stuff, and I was looking for another dustbin and I couldn't find it. 500 people and 5 dustbins? Nope, that's not how it goes. And also probably water. They provided half-liter water bottles, and it was a hot day. So 5,000 people, half-a-liter water bottles, and just probably say 10 dustbins. And I don't think that's enough. Well, I think we need to change how this works, and that is what we're trying to do.
So basically, events in this context is the gathering of people for a purpose, and this always has and always will be a part of human history. In the race to make their events a grand success, organizers conduct their events at any cost, and they often neglect the negative impacts of their events.
Well, considering the current rate of deterioration of the quality of the natural environment and increase in the event management industry, that's about 800 crores, it's valued at about 800 crores now. I think the need of the hour is to bring a wave of change in how these events are conducted. We need sustainable event management companies. That is why we need the Earth Buff network.
Considering that sustainability revolves around all three spheres of the environment, the society, and the economy, how does the Earth Buff network bring in? We try to incorporate these 6 touch points in all of our processes. They are reduction, conservation, optimization, consistency, reimagining, and stewardship.
Our vision is to make sure that the companies, that the good they do is good for business and for the world.
Our mission is to help companies and organizations enforce sustainability in their events, to, right from the project conceptualization to post-event evaluation.
EBN itself starts small from Bangalore, but hopes to reach global standards in the event management industry. But its main aim is to be a leader in sustainable event management. Well, how many of you have wondered how much you contribute to carbon dioxide emissions in the world? Well, it's about 1.8 tons per year per person in India. For 500 people on an average day, that would probably come up to about 2.5 tons. And for those same 500 people attending a single day event with a few relaxable parameters, it will be about 20 tons. Look at the difference between 20 tons and 2.5 tons. I think we need to minimize this number.
On my left, you would find that event managers focus on those aspects while conducting an event. On the right is from the Earth Buff network's point of view, the point of view of sustainability. For example, we look at preventing pollution instead of just trying to clean it up after the event. We also look at optimizing resources and hence reimagining the way an event is held on the whole.
Events are classified into 3 types here. IPs, intellectual properties, for example, IFA awards are conducted and owned by Wizcraft. Managed events, they're managed by third-party events, and activations, say you were a car company and you had a new product that had to be marketed in all showrooms all across the country. Well, looking at the charts, managed events have highest revenue and highest growth currently. So that is why EBN will be focusing on them for now.
Through our primary research, after speaking to a few event management companies, we discovered that the corporate sector is the most open to introducing greening initiatives. We've also done some more research, and initially we have decided to define our boundaries by the corporate sector and educational institutes. The impacts of a non-sustainable event are felt in all 3 spheres, society, economy, and the worst hit is the environment. Just imagine, by opting for a venue far from the city, the number of attendees of that event who opt for private modes of transport and the consequent pollution caused by all these attendees. When you think of the food aspect of an event, especially at weddings, there's so much of food that goes to waste. After an event, often the waste that is generated is just left behind at the venue, or it is dumped wherever it is convenient for the organizer.
For example, last Thursday in Bangalore, there was a 4-day Kadlekai Parishe, and Srishti Ventures from Bangalore actually conducted a survey. They found that despite BBMP saying that they would make a huge change in making the event a plastic-free zone, they couldn't. There were over 75,000 plastic covers that were used. That is not just the organizer's fault, but also the attendees themselves. But maybe this could have been changed. So the stakeholders here are as shown here, but the environment is the worst hit. It's also because the attendees, without a sense of environmental stewardship, or the organizers with no sustainability regulations in event management, they have the most distinct impact on the environment. This is what we are trying to address. Our social aim in a few line would be to be an environmentally conscious entrepreneurship model that is aimed at sustainable event management. Okay, let's look at the services that we are going to provide. At EBN, we have a three-phase event cycle: planning, implementation, and control and monitoring. That phase over there, impact area assessment, is a pre-planning phase. When a company or when a client approaches us with an event proposal, what we're going to do is understand the event and identify key high-impact target areas. For example, transport would be one, because of the amount of pollution that goes into it, and food. Food is everywhere and there's a lot of wastage of food. So that would be the identification that we would do.
In our initial phase, which is the planning phase, we look at, like she said, the high impact areas, and we try and customize solutions for each event. However, we do have a framework. We have a general checklist, and this is provided for events in general. For example, if you look at venue choice, venue accessible enough? How accessible is the venue? Are attendees open to carpooling? And can you as an event manager coordinate such an operation? If you look at the catering aspect, can you allow attendees to sample the food? If you are thinking of serving them the food, can you allow them to sample the food so that they can decide how much they want from it? Also, when it comes to waste disposal, is there facility for separating and processing the waste at the site, or which is the nearest site you can identify that this can be done?
Let's look at the implementation part of the planning phase. It is as important as the planning phase. Basically, all the EBN team members, the attendees of the event, and also the service providers and subcontractors who provide their services to us will be important, because it is only when all of them contribute to the sustainability progress that can we actually make a difference. So to promote behavioral changes, we hope to organize competitions or perhaps training programs to make them aware that this is what they have to follow instead of what they were already doing in the previous management. Now that we've conducted an event, it's important to quantify and report whatever we've done. For this, we have included this phase. The information is gathered from the staff, from the attendees, and from the subcontractors as well, before, during, and after the event. Well, for larger events, we would prefer to have an independent report, which would probably adhere to international standards like the global reporting initiatives.
Also, for monitoring and evaluation, we'll be using carbon calculators as a primary parameter, and international standards include APEX, ASTM, Environmentally Sustainable Meeting Standards, and also the ISO 20121:2012, which comes with their own specifications for improved levels of sustainability. Our implementation strategy, it starts out with our database creation, where we form a network of and suppliers who would cater to our requirements and would support our sustainability practices. Next, we do our market creation. We all know that companies and organizations give away corporate gifts during major festivals like Diwali, New Year's, Eid, etc. So EBN has a unique proposition of starting out with eco-friendly corporate gifts. Just imagine the impact it would make.
We hope to start small in terms of the number of attendees or in terms of the budget involved. So we'll be catering to only small events, and the probable phase after that would obviously be the conducting of larger scale events. We have another unique system where we'd like to develop a toolkit. So this toolkit is a means of revenue generation. We'd probably, like the monitoring and evaluation carbon dioxide emission calculators that we spoke about, we'd probably develop those to be event specific, since they don't already exist, and market those.
Our business plan timeline moves from 6 months prior to startup to 1 year in. We start with our database creation, which continues throughout as we're looking to expand our network. We also start our pilot events, which are small scale events. Next, we build our task force by networking with NGOs, schools and colleges to gather passionate volunteers.
We'd start 2 months before we'd probably open. We have a policy. We'll start developing our policy manual and doing the online media marketing through website creations. And at this point, we would start our corporate gifts phase. And once we have started, I think the most important thing to do would be to market it. Local mass media and promotional campaigns. Since we are targeting the educational sector, probably in other educational institutions.
9 months in, we hope to introduce our toolkits in the market. And 1 year in, we have a very crucial assessment to measure our impacts in terms of accounts, feedback, and marketing to ensure the sustainability of EBN itself as a business model.
This is a very hazy, these are all very hazy numbers since we don't exactly come from a financial background that requires all of this, but we hope that this is what it would cost, say, the marketing and the registration fees, the support for building the toolkit. So this would for about a year in, we think this number would come around to about 2 lakhs, less than 2 lakhs for the first year. And we kind of charted out the kind of taxes that we think would be applicable to us as event managers. Direct taxes would be from the revenues, the commissions we make, and the sponsorship fees in case we are bringing sponsorship. And indirect taxes would be VAT and entertainment taxes.
We hope to receive revenue primarily from our commissions and secondarily from our products, that is our corporate gifts and our toolkit. This timeline corresponds to the business plan timeline. Again, these are probable estimates and we do not hope to make
any money from the pilot events, but as we go on, we hope to start charging commission and making money.
Our organizational structure, obviously the primary employees will be the founders themselves, who will take care of the implementation of the entire event. Later on, we seek to expand. Our marketing strategy, it goes hand in hand with our implementation, where we use our corporate gifts to establish ourselves in the sector, corporate sector.
We hope to form partnerships with SMEs and SHGs. This would this would be a good point for us to sell ourselves to the corporate companies, as it would be a image booster for them.
Our feedback loop is a continuous closed cycle loop. We hope to gather feedback from the EBN team itself, our vendors and our clients. Working on both feedback, negative and positive, we will also learn from our positive feedback to make sure that we innovate our practices to make them more sustainable and continuously evolve. So why would anyone choose EBN? Well, obviously we customize and gives turnkey solutions. We are obviously lighter on the environment and we give positive publicity to clients. Any association with the EarthBuff network would mean the client would be associated with our 6 touch points.
This is the EBN putting the environment on the guest list.
We also have a 1-minute video on how we would make our marketing pitch.
So just one question. So you have kind of a list of different ways that events as usual are unsustainable. Which of those lists, or which of those aspects of the events can be done at lower cost in an environmentally sustainable way, and which ones are going to be higher cost? And do you have any sense of the cost differential between the sustainable way and the not sustainable way, and how you would, I guess, reduce the cost differential when things cost more?
For example, we also seek to support the local economy. So when you're saying sustainability in terms of food, we would encourage utilizing local food suppliers. So you reduce delivery miles, you also reduce carbon emissions.
Also in the corporate gifts phase, by using, sourcing it from SAGs would actually help in reducing costs than getting probably brands of gifts from other places. Also the thing is, we do not promise financial benefits at small scale events because the budget is already low. Say for larger scale events, the actual aim is to avoid lifestyle cost. So at a small scale event, we cannot hope to make a huge difference, because as we start using green products for larger events, since we'll be procuring them at a mass, there'll be a mass consumption, the numbers may decrease.
Management, a lot of it just comes down to just the logistics. If you're going to focus the company on a couple of key things that you do differently as an event management company, what would be, in your mind, the highest impact things you could do differently at your events if you had to focus on that in the early days?
First thing would definitely be the fact that, say, when I spoke to you about an event at KTPO, that's why in Whitefield. So even if you're sourcing it from Bangalore itself, it would be quite a large distance. So what I would do is make sure all the events, say on day -1 day, these are the raw materials that I need. I would ask him to probably come to all of them to meet at Majestic, take the charge, and then from Majestic get all of those goods by my own transport to my location. So that was one thing that we thought of would probably
also it could be the simple things, that like the amount of paper that's being used at every event. If that was recycled paper being used, you're reducing your environmental impact, and you're hopefully changing the sustainability practices followed by the attendees.
Print on a piece of recycled paper versus a print of, I guess, a piece of regular paper. What's the cost differential?
Printing won't matter, it's the cost of...
Or what's the cost of the paper, I guess? What's the differential?
It depends. The thing is, again, there are various kinds of recycled paper. So there are recycled paper that's cheaper than regular paper. But the thing, it again depends on me. If the client who has a higher budget he's okay on spending a little more on a better quality of recycled paper, then yes, we would go ahead. Suppose he's like, no, I'm okay with using a lower grade quality of paper, then I would probably use that.
I think again it goes back to generating real demand. See, there's a good demand for greenwashing. That you could do, but to generate real demand, because the cost of this is socialized, right? So the people who plan the event don't bear the social and environmental cost of the event. So to convince them that I need to, actually I'm not so convinced that it's going to cost them less. It's probably going to cost them much more financially to do things differently. So again, to Jessica's point, are there 2 or 3 key offerings that you could offer to other event managers to begin with, to say food, you know, most of us have eaten ghastly long tables of food, all of it is unpalatable and high waste. Nobody would mind if it was reduced to 5 dishes which are tasty and local, right? So 1 or 2 things like that which have high impact, like she was also asking.
You did mention that, right? The food.
For example, food, you would know better, but rather than making this big offering to begin with.
I actually didn't understand the...
So I think, I'm not convinced financially that it's going, but Sanjay can pitch in too, that it's going to cost less to be more eco-friendly in an event.
The basic reason why anybody would conduct an event is promotion. It's basically promotion or gathering, as she said. But that promotion, when we give a brand value to it. When there's that green tag, green is in and green is cool right now. So we are tapping that.
We're looking at value addition also here.
In that case, you're really speaking like true greenwashers. Because green is in is pretty much the worst reason to go green. Actually, her question can be restated in another way. Instead of selling to a customer, which you are of course welcome to try as entrepreneurs, would you be able to sell the same service to a competitor?
Sir,
that's really the trick.
That was the phase, but then we won't be doing it initially because they'll probably steal our idea and not use our services.
So we want to test our waters and establish ourselves, like give a sort of niche to ourselves. And that with our backgrounds,
that's why we came up with the toolkit building phase, sir.
Yeah, and given our team's backgrounds, we actually certified to do this sort of thing.
Okay.
Measuring environmental impacts.
Could you at least ask some of your competitors? There are lots of small event management companies. Definitely in Delhi, I presume also in Bangalore, lots of them. Could you ask them what is it that prompts them to be non-green? This is a very important research that you need to carry out. They're not, as human beings, they're not intent in wasting things. You know, nobody likes to waste. But
can I answer that? Because one of the main reasons is they are not legally bound to do so. They're not legally bound to check the pollution levels of their event, to see how much waste they've generated.
Just make a positive impact. They're going to do it at any cost. They're not thinking about it.
We don't have pollution control board regulations for an event being conducted.
So for example, on So we'll be targeting only high impact areas. And also, sir, to answer your question, especially corporate offices and companies, on the 5th of June, that's the World Environment Day, they have a big gala and they plant trees. Probably what they don't realize is that while they're planting trees and conducting that big gala, they can probably kind of cancelling it out, all the negative things they do. So we're trying to address that issue.
equally well served if you were to set up a method of measuring the impact of an event and making it available to a company which could then
that is what we are trying to do with our toolkit, the third phase in our implementation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Team Amritdhara.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandeep, and I'm here to talk about our social enterprise, Amritdhara. It aims at reducing the use of bottled water by offering an alternative which is safe, which is affordable to everyone, and which is environment friendly. So I'll run through the problem, the solution we are proposing, our business model, the progress so far. So I think the previous team has already explained the problem, so I'll keep it short. We see three big issues associated with bottled water. Right now, a liter of bottle actually costs 4 rupee 12 paisa at the point of manufacturing, but it is being retailed anywhere between 15 rupee to 25 rupee. At this price, you can get milk, you can get breakfast. We think it's very unethical for something as basic as water to cost this amount. At the same time, unlike what many of you think, bottled water is not safe in many cases. There have been many tests conducted by regulatory authorities which says they do not comply with the basic standards. And most importantly, every year 1.5 million tons of plastic waste is generated just because of bottled water. And not even 20% of them are recycled. They don't decompose, they pollute the land, water. So you will see such kind of headlines very often. Tamil Nadu, 90% of the bottling plants are not licensed. So we wanted to solve this problem, and what we realized is the majority of consumption of bottled water happens not in homes but in public places like bus stops, railway stations, beaches. The reason is unlike Western countries like US, in India the tap water is not potable. So if you go to a public place, there is no other alternative apart from buying a bottled water. So this is the gap that we wanted to fill in by setting up a network of water station that will provide unpackaged loose water with quality assurance at an affordable price. So say the water station might look like this. It will have on-site filtration which will filter the input water to required standards. It will be then cooled and it will then pass through a water dispenser. In the water dispenser, it will undergo some real-time testing, and the water dispenser will have the display in which you can see what is the TDS level, what is the pH, turbidity. So this will give the quality assurance to the consumers. They will actually know the quality parameters of the water they're drinking. So the consumers can come and fill in their reusable bottles. We will also be selling reusable bottles at the water station. And if someone do not want to carry a reusable bottle at all, they don't even want to buy from us, we will be giving water in glass tumblers. So you can just buy a glass of water. We'll also be having a bottle cleaning facility in the water station. And so basically there are 4 components, say 4 pillars of the ecosystem. We'll bring awareness among people about the issues associated with bottled water and promote use of bottle. The filtration system will be such that it treats the water to higher standard. There will be a data platform which will give quality assurance of water, and the water stations will be set up in public places, so that it gives easy access to the transient urban population. So there will be some tests that will happen real time in the dispensing system, but certain tests cannot happen real time. So we will collect sample of water from the station. They will be sent to the certified laboratories, and then the water test result will be uploaded in data platform and transmitted to the water station. So this is how we are giving the quality assured water. So we will be selling this water at a price somewhere between ₹3 to ₹6 a liter, and the market size is estimated to be 10,000 crore per annum. Our target customer right now is the transient urban population. Of course, the biggest competitor is bottled water, and then there's water pouches. There are a handful of zero BQs, but we do better than all our competitors in terms of pricing, environmental impact, sanitary condition, and we are the only one who are giving quality assurance. The team consists of Akshay Rungta, who is product designer. He is doing MA in New Media and Design. He leads all the design aspects of business. He's in Finland, he couldn't come. Minhaj has done MBA and is experienced in consulting in sustainability projects. There is some meeting going on with Pondicherry government, so he couldn't be here. I am in the final year of infrastructure civil engineering at IIT Chennai, and I have brief experience in venture capital with United Seed Fund and management consulting. We recently recruited interns from IIT Madras from background of MBA engineering and humanities, and our advisors consist of serial entrepreneurs, social scientists, water experts from IIT and Biome in Bangalore. Recently, Mr. Solomon, who is a serial social entrepreneur at Bangalore, he also joined the advisory board. So far, we have been incubated. We are part of entrepreneur industrials at Wilgrow. We have evaluated and identified the vendors and suppliers for various components of water station. We have done the consumer survey. We have done lean prototyping at 3 places. The 3rd place we did just 3 days back, last Sunday. And we have an online presence through blog, website, social media. Just a week back on December 3rd, we got incorporated as Amruthara Water Services Private Limited. So we have done consumer survey, lean pilot. I'll just play a video. We interviewed a number of people in public places, and we managed to record some of the conversation, and I'll just show the snapshots of some of these.
Inside this one that you can see, it's a sense of satisfaction, yeah, that something is happening. You can see it getting made.
So suppose there is a real-time testing involved.
Yeah, then obviously you will get
So as you can see, some of the key insights we got from the survey is that a majority of people already are aware of the bottled water is not good, but they just don't have a choice. So bringing a behavior change will not be as difficult as we expected. Also, people are willing to pay for water, people are willing to carry reusable bottles. So with these insights, we went on to do a lean pilot. We created a fake brand called Suddham Neer. We didn't want to dilute our brand. This is Marina Beach in Chennai.
In early November 2020, the Amara team set up a lean prototype, which means that instead of creating a full-fledged final product, we set up a simple kiosk which helps us test certain aspects to better understand the consumer. We wanted to test people's willingness to pay for water, perceptions of cleanliness and hygiene around drinking water, and a sense of what the day of a vendor might look like. These aspects are helping us design a more robust, thought-through final product and service. At the kiosk, we will have a cleaning station for hygienically cleaning bottles and glasses. It is a 5-stage process that starts with cleaning with soap water, scrubbing with a brush, wash down with drinking water, washing it with bleach, and a final rinse with drinking water before storage for next use.
This is Broadway bus stand in Chennai. You can see the crowd around the kiosk. I mean, there was a stall selling bottled water right next to it, and behind it, this is a tap water. Still, people were jumping to buy water from us. We were selling water at 3 rupees a liter. We also sold reusable bottles as well during the lean prototyping. So with the insights we got from the consumer survey, from the lean prototyping, we managed to identify what are the key pain points, and accordingly we devised the value proposition so that it addresses the key pain points of the consumers. And with that, now we are going to install water station at Coimbatore bus stand in Chennai, the Principal Secretary of Water Supply of Tamil Nadu, Mr. Fendra Reddy, has said once this water station, this pilot is successful at Coimbatore, then the project can be, they will model a framework so that it can scale up to entire Tamil Nadu. At the same time, we have got access to 3 places in Pondicherry bus stand, Pondicherry beach, and the Pondicherry Bazaar, and up to 10 water stations we can install. That's what the Chief Secretary of Pondicherry have said. And so we have also partnered with several organizations. Wilgrow has been helping us since August and mentoring us. Exnora is an environmental NGO which promote environmental awareness, and they're going to help us in bringing the behavior change and awareness. IIT Madras, we are getting the technical expertise. Surgel is our technical partner who is giving us the dispensing system. Apart from that, we have gotten good support from various organizations. Credai has shown interest in sponsoring some of the water station. So is the Rotary Club. We have also got good response from Eco Kitchen, Boost Water. We are hoping to get some support in bringing the behavior change strategies and governance from Okapi. And so we're hoping to run the water station, have the water station running in next 2-3 months, and then we are hoping in a year's time we should have scaled up to entire Chennai, and then after a year we can move on to other cities. So the fixed cost for a water station comes out to be around 4.8 lakh, and there are some variable cost. The cost of water, I mean, there will be some variation in the amount we have to pay to the government for the land, for the power supply, so the price might vary, but it's around 1.5 a liter to us. And initially we planned to sell water at 3 rupee liter, but after the consumer survey and lean pilot, we realized people associate the cost with quality. So if you are selling at too cheap, the people who are used to buy bottled water at 15-20, they find it too cheap and they think that's not good quality. So we are thinking of selling at somewhere between 3 to 6. So yeah, the money from the grant is primarily going to be utilized in installing the water station at Coimbatore. And so with the initial projections we made, we expect to install around 175 water station by end of second year. And this is assuming cost to be around, price to be rupees 3 a liter, and if that happens, we expect to break even in 19th month. And the net cash flow is expected to be around 26 lakh on 24th month. So we are, so as you can see, we are the main social impact is in terms of reducing the plastic waste. We are a bunch of people who are passionate to reduce plastic waste from country, while ensuring supplying affordable, quality assured water to the transient urban population, and in process of creating employment generation. We envisage to come back, reach to an era where people should feel guilty if they're buying bottled water. If one should feel proud if they're carrying a reusable bottle, because it should be indicative that they are environmental conscious people. So bringing that is a challenging task. It's a big problem, we realize, but at the same time we think it's a very solvable problem. And to achieve that, we require support from a number of people, everyone present here, not just the financial support from Rockefeller Foundation or the mentorship from judges, but I urge everyone here to, when they go out, spread the message, communicate the message, and help us in bringing the behavior change. So, and join us in this mission. Thank you.
About your lean prototype.
Okay.
I want to know lots more information. How many liters did you sell in how many hours? What rate were you selling at per glass? Assuming it was 250 or 300 ml, were you selling it at ₹1? And how many seconds does it take to clean up a glass? And what was your stacking method?
Yeah. So how many liters we sold varied. We did 3 lean pilots. First, when we did at Marina Beach, that was the first time we were doing. So actually, we spent 1 hour in just installing the water station. So from 4:30 to 6, I think it took around 1.5 hours to sell 25 liters of water. But when we did the same experiment at Broadway bus stand, we sold 25 liters of water in 20 minutes. People were like jumping, we ran out. And price was ₹3 a liter. So one glass was costing ₹1 for 250, half a liter 2 rupee, and 1 liter bottle 3 rupee. And what are the other questions you asked? I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, so we realized, I mean, when we scale up, we'll have to go to a more semi-automated mode of cleaning. It is taking we have say 20 glasses. We keep putting it like there are 4 tumblers. So we put 5 glasses once, then we just wash and put in. So I think it's not we are doing one at a time. We are doing like 5 glasses at a time, which can take a 2 minute maybe.
Consider the idea of using edged tumblers so that people could, for example, just pour it without touching them?
Yeah, that is an idea we have. I mean, that we need to have that kind of glasses, but still there's a perception issue, would people accept it or not? So we don't want to take risk, wanted to take that now.
I did find the issue of stacking either upside down or right side up, which we have had in, I'm a member of the Sri Aurobindo Ashram, so we have a problem there. Both ways of stacking are unhygienic. So that can be a serious
so in the tumbler we had kept the white cloth, and above that we were placing it. So we did not, I mean, took it very seriously whether to place it. We were like placing upside down, but there was a cloth in the bottom.
With 2 people talking about bottled water, Aro, I hope this is not water poured from some bigger bottle and given to us like this. But
yeah,
probably
I was really happy to see this. I mean, in all other conferences, I used to see Bisleri bottles in
come
front
from
of
a
judges.
1 liter bottle, and just to make us look better, they have put it in this, which I'm happy they did. Seriously, I missed something important in your presentation, which is what system are you using for purification?
Yes, so that is going to depend upon the input water. Basically, there can be 2 kinds of input water. Either it can be the metro water, which is already purified to a certain extent, though it is not very potable. So if you are getting input water as metro water, you are using 3 modules. One is activated carbon to remove the chlorine and smell, then microfiltration, then UV. But if you are not getting metro water, we are getting some groundwater for which we are not sure how is the quality, it's very polluted, then we will use RO. But we are avoiding RO because of many reasons. It wastes a lot of water, it's very energy intensive, it demineralizes water, and so it takes, so because of this we are not a fan of RO. But only when we can't get a metro water, we'll have to go with RO.
Yeah, we've clearly given up on the idea of getting public safe water. The Chief Secretary himself is telling you that your business model is, I mean, clearly the government has given up on the idea of providing the entire public safe drinking water. That seems the sad thing to me anyway. But, so you don't want to use RO, environmentally safe, cheaper, I get that. What will you certify it safe for? Because how much will you analyze the source water? See, I agree with you that bottled water anyway we don't know what we are drinking, but what are you qualifying it safe for? Because there are so many new contaminants coming into the water, so what will you be analyzing it for, and what will you promise?
So one thing is, firstly we are testing the input water. So how we are calling it safe is with the discussion from the water experts, they have mentioned that these are the certain parameters which you need to test at this. I mean, you need to test TDS regularly. You need to do tests for this at this period of time. So we will be conducting those tests, and that will be monitored remotely. So whenever we realize that this the quality parameter has gone beyond that, then we will realize that we need to change the module. So
I mean, it will be arsenic free, fluoride free, that's for sure. Yeah, bacteria, I hope.
Yeah, we will be going to test arsenic,
nitrates.
Fluoride. Yeah, we will be testing all that.
Right.
Okay, but it won't be pesticide free.
I mean, we will be.
So why don't you do a comparison with bottled water and what their claim to purity is? There are so many companies which claim a certain kind of purity, and you should be able to certify better than bottled water.
I mean, there is no. I mean, bottled water. If you go on to test every bottled water, you might find different standard in every bottle.
So you could name a competitor and say better than such and such.
Okay.
So since it involves human beings, not vending machines, right? If you eventually, so it's how are you planning? So you'll be creating people livelihood opportunities.
Yeah,
also,
all
right?
the water systems is going to be manned for various reasons. One is we have to make sure it is hygienic, clean, because that's a very important aspect to attract people. And second is vandalism. In bottled water sellers will come and destroy the water station. So all the water systems is going to be manned.
So you do realize that you are fighting against a very divisive tendency of modern urban society to do certain things because they are idiot proof. One of the things about bottled water is that people believe, probably possibly wrongly, that no matter what the vendor might do to that bottle, as long as you can buy that bottle off the shelf and kind of carry it into your railway compartment, whatever it is, you are still safe. That's not something. So here the problem will be that your person will come under question for not being hygienic enough, and even I remember you were the guinea pig who was wearing a mask and a cap and gloves and whatever, but that might still be.
Yeah, but see, in the lean pilot you'd have seen me turning on the tap, but in the actual it's not going to be the case. The dispensing system is quite hygienic. You have to just press the button and there's no direct contact between the person. So in the full-fledged project, it's going to be a lot more hygienic than what you can see now.
Franchised? Should this be franchised?
So the model is the vendor will have a fixed salary, and there will be a portion of the revenue per liter of water that will be the vendor will be getting, so that he develop a sense of ownership with the water station. So yeah, it is a kind of franchising model.
Partial franchise.
Yeah.
Why do you want to not just franchise it?
I mean, it's franchise. I think it's franchise, right?
After a certain stage,
And you decided glass instead of not. What is the eco footprint of small paper cups instead?
I mean, what is the eco? I don't know the number in terms of, but we didn't want to test that because we might find people. Actually, people said when we asked questions, they said they would prefer to drink water from glass cups or plastic cups, and they wouldn't drink water from reusable glasses. But when we asked, what if we are cleaning that? Then they say, we don't know, how are you cleaning it? Then we said, what if we make it transparent, you can see how it is being cleaned? Then said, yeah, then we will drink from the reusable glasses. So that's how we have came up with this.
But have you looked at, I'm talking about the economics and the eco footprint both of washing and using whatever systems, water, you're using a lot of water to wash, right? So I'm just saying, have you compared the footprints of these two models?
No, we assumed the footprint of other would be higher.
That's probably a wise assumption, but still there have been situations where, for example, laundering of linen has been shown to be more expensive than disposable linen. So be careful.
Okay. You should check that out. And how much breakage are you assuming? I mean, take a glass, poop, oops, sorry. How much breakage are you assuming in glass versus, say, steel cups?
I mean, so far we didn't encounter any, but we didn't have any such case so far. Any questions?
Yeah, I have sort of two questions. The first question is, you've described a system in your prototyping which you're testing on two or three sort of vending things. What are the challenges that you expect when you scale this to 10,000? Because there's a lot of water that's consumed even in bus stands.
Yeah.
So have you thought through that? That's the first question. The second question is, most of the people I've seen, at least on your test videos, are people who are middle class and have disposable income. Have you looked at the markets in low-income settlements for the slums? Do you know how much people pay for water when they're poor?
Yeah, so first question, the challenge is scaling up. The biggest challenge we saw is getting the input water. But since we are doing it through the government, not the private way, we are giving this risk to them that we need 3-4 things from you. We need the land, we need to get the input water from you. So that risk is being mitigated. And then we need power supply, but in some places we won't get the power. So in extreme cases, we can't cool the water, we will be using solar, but in that case we can't cool the water. And if we are using RO, then also we can't do with solar. So if we are, the 3 module can be done with solar. So these are the two, I think, the big problems in scaling up. And there will be operational challenges in dealing with the vendors. So those are aspects we'll learn as we go. And second, how much would the people at BOP will be willing to pay? So honestly, our vision is not to give access to every water to everyone. There are many companies like that. Our vision is to reduce plastic waste. So I'm sure that the people at BOP and lower medium are also going to benefit a lot from this. But what is we are aiming at is to make the people at higher middle income who are buying bottle to switch from that. So I think you asked about middle income. I mean, if you have seen the video, there were like beggars, small children who were also coming and buying bottles. So I think ₹3 at least is affordable to everyone.
Actually, what I might be suggesting is if you go and do some evidence-based testing, that poor people pay a lot more than rich people for water. And you might find that there's a very large market in a slightly different segment than you've explored at the moment. Typically, people who are poor pay between 5 sometimes to 10 times the amount that rich people pay for water. And they're very active water vending markets that operate in many of our cities.
Yeah,
so
but we're not looking to enter into rural segment.
I mean, no, I'm talking about the cities.
Even in slums, I mean, they are generally like they get water in bulk. I mean, there are like companies like Sarvajal, which works on a model, they give bulk water to the rural. So that's a different business model altogether, so which we are not thinking of getting into.
Last point, there are some policy things coming at this sector, you know, the fundamental right to water and the question about whose water is it, you know, the bulk water issue. That's all these are debates that are growing and they're going to come at you all. So in terms of de-risking, you'll have to keep those things in mind.
Yeah. Right.
How you would implement this project in a city like Bangalore? Because you know the water supplied by the water supply board is not potable.
It's not
potable.
Water supplied by water supply board is not potable.
Not potable.
Of course, it's. I mean, if it was potable, we would have supplied water directly, right? We are doing the filtration. We are getting the input water from the Bangalore Metro Water Supply Sewerage Board, then filter it to the required standards. So, of course, it's not potable, and that's why we are using the filtration modules. Thank you.
The final presentation for the day, Team Infite.
They've come from outside and they're challenging the water bottle guys and the government guys, yeah.
I also need to point out the biggest challenge that at the meso scale that an organization like this might face if it starts succeeding is that there are a number of vested interests in very powerful water mafias at work in our cities. So I don't know at what level they will either be gobbled up or hit, but these are serious issues.
As soon as I give the hand gesture, you start timing and you can start speaking. Sure.
Hello everyone, I'm Saif Khan, a 4th year student from IIT Kharagpur representing Team Infite. Our team also includes Imbasad, Gyan and Ritutak. Before I start with our B plan, I would like to talk about a very special social educational project called Education Yatra, which our team of 17 students undertook in May last year in Bihar, one of the poorest states in India. We visited 4 Naxal-infested districts of Bihar for 20 days, and through our interaction with thousands of students, parents, teachers, and government officials, we tried to figure out the problems plaguing rural education, especially in the light of the Naxal movement. We also submitted the report of findings to the Bihar government. Here are some pictures from the Yatra. Every morning we used to go out in bus, divide ourselves in teams, and visit 2 to 3 schools daily, holding educational cum motivational workshops and interactive sessions for the students of class 6 to 12. We were extensively covered by the media too. During that period, we observed that while schools are in place and filled with children, the main problem arises when they return back to their homes. Due to a crippling electricity deficit in Bihar, students are not able to study during night time and revise whatever that was taught in schools, hence adversely affecting their studies. Even in the capital city of Patna, there is a huge load shedding at night. Those who use kerosene are putting their health in extreme danger. According to a report by New York Times, indoor air pollution kills 2 million people worldwide, and kerosene is a major source of that. Besides, kerosene is quite expensive, and the very poor typically spend 10% of their household income on kerosene. Inspired by our yatra and concerned by the troubles students face, we have developed Infite, an LED lamp which runs from batteries charged through a dynamo fitted in the cycle. This project of ours has been integrated with the popular Mukhyamantri Cycle Yojana of Bihar government, where every student above class 8 is given a cycle free of cost. This year only more than 14 lakh cycles have been distributed. During our observation in Yatra, we have observed that daily on average, students cover 6 to 8 kilometers to reach their high schools, which are typically situated quite far from their homes, giving themselves enough time to recharge their batteries. This is the cross-section of our cycle fitted with Infite. A dynamo is attached to the rear wheel and is connected to the battery pack via wires. The battery pack is housed under the seat for safety purposes. They are the parts of the prototype that we have developed. On the top left is the dynamo, which basically transforms the rotational energy to electrical energy. Next to it is the battery pack, which is connected to the regulating circuit. Since the speed of the cycle varies and so does the output current and voltage, the work of the regulating circuit is to keep the incoming voltage as well as the current constant to facilitate charging. Below that, we have the LED lamp, which is connected to the batteries, and as is visible, it gives a nice bright light which is perfect for studying. These are the technical specifications of Infite. It takes around 6 hours to fully charge the batteries with a typical cycle speed of 20 kilometers per hour. The fully charged batteries can run the lamp for more than 8 hours. So all these figures basically boil down to the simple result that we see at the bottom, that is 1 hour of cycling gives 83 minutes of light. A very decent equation considering a cycle in a typical house in Bihar is put to use for at least 1 to 2 hours daily, giving easily 2 to 3 hours of study time for children. The batteries can last for as long as 3 years. Also, the luminosity flux of 85 lumens is perfect for a study lamp. Apart from the usual recharging through cycling, a person can also recharge the batteries by mounting the rear wheel on a wedge or a stand and pedaling. This setup won't only act as an exercising machine, but also recharge batteries whenever it's needed, a significant advantage over the solar lamps. Speaking of advantages, there are many over the traditional options. Unlike kerosene, Infite gives bright, clean light with no running cost or health issues or pollution whatsoever. It's a green technology which also promotes a healthy activity like cycling. And unlike solar lamps, Infite can be recharged any time of the day, regardless of the weather condition. Plus, it is also cheaper than a solar lamp. Keeping in mind the rough roads in Bihar, Infite has been designed to be water, dust, and shock-proof. The product will help the local economy by providing a much-needed lighting solution. The product, in essence, empowers young students by giving them a cheap product tailored to their needs. Now we will move on to the business aspect of the presentation to be delivered by Imbasat.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, sir. So, as we have already explained about the product and its usage, now we bring into the market and budget feasibility. In our initial phase, we will focus on urban and semi-urban population in which more than 30% face electricity deficit, which counts to more than 5 million people, which clearly reflects that the number of potential users is very large. And even if we assume that only 1 out of 50 people are going to afford our product, even the sale of our initial phase will be more than 1 lakh. And no need to mention that bicycle is actually a lower middle class transport in a place like Bihar. Now, as soon as we receive grant from IIHS, we will start our product improvement and simultaneously apply for company registration, which will go in parallel. In the subsequent month, we will outsource our product and order 100 units of our product for trial run purpose. Then with the aid of Education Department Bihar, we will visit around 10 government schools of Patna and nearby areas and distribute 10 units of Infite product among the best students on the basis of merit cum need. Now, this is going to create a buzz among the students, as it is very obvious that children get very fascinated about such products. So on an average, there are around 500 to 700 students enrolled in higher secondary school. So even if just 1 out of 10 students wish to buy our product, immediately our sale will be more than 500 within the month. And then we will invite media to cover this story. And with our personal experience of last 3 years of working in education field, I can assure that government as well as media in Bihar are very enthusiastic for such initiatives. So we can expect the same for this project as well. Then, on the basis of market feedback from parents, school, students, media, we will apply to banks for a loan to start bulk manufacturing. In the meantime, we will hire 2 employees as our salesperson. Now, this is our budget utilization of the grant in which we are going to receive. We are going to spend almost 2 lakh of rupees on already explained activities of our pilot phase and keeping equity of 1 lakh with us because we may need cash at any stage. Now, keeping the market in mind, we will be able to sell around 10 to 15,000 units by the end of first year. So keeping our estimation to be on the safe side, we are getting the number approximately 12,000. And annual growth in sale to be around 15%, which is perfectly feasible. Our manufacturing cost per unit is coming to be rupees 250 in bulk manufacturing mode, and we are keeping our sales price per unit to be rupees 350 for the first year. So this is the summary of our financial analysis. Keeping the previous assumption into consideration, we are making a profit of rupees 1,60,000 at the end of first year, and when we add the equity we have saved from our grant, our company's worth would be more than 2,60,000. So on the same pattern, by the end of 5 years, it would be around 23 lakhs. Graphically also, it's pretty evident that we are making a continuous profit and our cash flow is also maintained decent enough, which is actually continuously rising from third year onwards. Now our funding plan, which is actually very simple. When we are entering into bulk manufacturing, we are keeping 1 lakh equity from the grant and taking a loan of 2 lakh to be repaid within 3 years. And as we are not manufacturing ourselves, our working capital is neutral and we will just do the sales operation job. So we'll just need a small office space to do the operational work to keep our overheads low. The scalable and replicable would be discussed in the next slide. Now, this is our model. Build, operate and transfer. We have developed a product which can be manufactured for public use. So we will outsource the manufacturing, and as the market is very large, we alone cannot operate on such a large scale. So we will sell this model to other local entrepreneurs to reach to different districts of the state. We will be having a proper contract with them in which they will be paying us a certain percentage of revenue to be generated from the sales. In this way, our model becomes replicable as well as scalable. On an average, there are more than 300 schools in any district of the state. So for each local player, there itself is a very big and long-lasting market. This way, we will not only contribute in raising employment, but also generate good revenue to bring in another innovative products or services. Now, these are our major parameters of success. By the end of first year, more than 12,000 households will be lightened and around 180 tons of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide emission will be avoided. Every house will save rupees 500 from kerosene money every year which adopts the Infite product, and 12 crore of government money could be saved by the end of 5 years from kerosene subsidy. And obviously there would be a sharp reduction in burn accident cases and chances of many health problems could be avoided. Now let's have a look over the risk involved in this project. We have taken into consideration all possible risks. The major ones are product copying and accessing to remote customers, which we have actually nullified by adopting build, operate, transfer model by involving local players in an enormously large market. So actually it's like turning adversities to advantages. For students coming from a very weak financial background, we will keep installment-based payment plan. As the student is already enrolled in a school, so we can easily collect money on a monthly basis. Now regarding our product, it's already tested and with time we will spend in its development. Our major competition is obviously solar lamp. But as per Dalberg Global Development Advisors report, it is found that despite of good technological advancement in the solar energy, this could not be made available among people easily, especially in the poor or developing economy, because the business model involved is not so sustainable. So even if I talk about Bihar itself, then till date solar usage is less than even 1% out of those who face electricity deficit. This is the estimated cost of our product. These are the items which will be integrated to manufacture our product, and per unit cost is coming to be around rupees 250 when we enter into bulk manufacturing. Now we will just want to play a video. This video has been made by just delivering the usage of the Infite, in which there is a child and how is he using this Infite product. So this way you could see that whenever a child goes to school, he could recharge it. Even at home, he could recharge it. On an average, every child goes around 10 kilometers because in Bihar, number of higher secondary schools are a bit restricted. There are not so many and the population is huge. So even if you go around 10 kilometers every day up and down, you get enough time to recharge the product as well as you can use the product at home. And in middle class family, cycle is actually the mode of transportation. So not only the child, his parents might also be using. So definitely he's going to get at least 2 to 2.5 hours of light at home to study. Because if you can't study at home at night, then the entire day goes waste if you go to school. So at last, we just want to say that Infite is an initiative for students by students. It's a tribute to our country by reducing the energy inequity. Infite is actually one of the many products that will be brought by our team. The money we would generate from here would be actually used to fund other innovative products or services. We have been a part of 2 other social startups, IIHS for Youth, which actually helps in mentoring and counseling underprivileged students of Bihar. And we have also started Teach for Kashmir, a social enterprise in which we have actually taught around 100 Kashmiri students on the basis of a selection test last summer, and the model is now getting so sustainable. So at last, we just want to say that you are not just investing in an idea, rather you are investing in a team that would come up with many such solutions in the near future in the field of education, employment, etc., in order to make the society a better place to live and healthier. Thank you. Questions, please.
This is impressive stuff. Why? But I'm curious, why you're actually bundling 2 products even now into one. One is a charger and a battery, and the other is a light. Why not reduce the cost of your offering by actually forgetting about the light and just going for the charger?
Sir, actually, in this mode when we are charging, we are generating a voltage around 3.6 volt. So with that voltage, we could just give power to a proper LED lamp. So if we just give the charger, then it will be a tension for the students themselves that they have to arrange a proper LED lamp they have to find. So LED lamp is actually very cheap. It will cost not less than more than rupees 10 when we go to the bulk manufacturing, because LED lights are very cheap. But using a proper focusing lens behind this lamp, this will cost around 15 rupees out of that 250 which is coming right now.
Show me that last slide. Your breakup was different.
High brightness LED bulb,
this is the individual rate. So that's what we bought. But when we will enter into bulk manufacturing, the cost of the LED lamp will drastically go down, around 15 or 20.
LED will come around rupees 3.
Another point is why we are putting it into a package, because if we only provide the batteries and the charger, there is a high chance that the parents or the family can use the batteries for other purposes.
Exactly.
No, we want the children, the product is focused only on the children. We want them to study, we want them to use a study lamp. We don't want the parents to use it for another purpose.
If it is constructive purpose, it is fine, but you are dealing with that class of people who can use with some destructive purposes as well. I mean, not exactly destructive, but our major agenda is that students should study. Because we have seen those places where we have met students in previous summers in different interactive seminars. They really want to study. Power is actually creating a big problem in their life, because when they go back to home, they are totally tired cycling 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers a day, and at night there is no power. So they can't get enough time to revise. I've met class 9, class 10 students who hardly cannot solve basic mathematics. He says that I've never studied at home.
No, one is not looking at that aspect at all. We are looking just at this breakup, this bill of quantities, as it were. Now, another aspect of this BOQ is this nickel. What does MH stand for?
So metal hydride.
Metal hydride. So this is metal hydride nickel battery. How long will it last, and how will it be replaced?
Sir, it is going to last around 2.5 to 3 years. We will generally, you can see that it will take around 6 hours to completely charge the battery. Now, battery life is at best when it is charged to around 50%. So that's why in this model, when a student is going to school and coming back, he will charge it around 1 hour, something 1.5 hour. His parents might use it for other purposes. This will give approximately 50% charging every day. So that's why we could get the best life of the battery around 2 to 3 years.
Ideally, nickel MH batteries can last for as long as 5 years. But keeping on the safe side, we are assuming that they will last for 3 years.
The dynamo will break down?
So dynamo is actually very metallic. So
Very hard
unless you
and
try to break it, then only it will break down.
It's very compact. It's
Because
very compact.
if the cycle falls, we have taken this into consideration. If the cycle falls, dynamo is not going to break down, and the circuit, we have kept it below the house of the seat. So either way it falls, the circuit is not going to get damaged.
Dynamo? What is the weight of the dynamo and the fitting that?
Around
300, 400 grams. Less than half a kg.
No, just good, but just to ponder that all these market opportunities are created by the failure of the state. There's a transport deficit here, an energy deficit here, and a school deficit here, I mean, in terms of proximity. But that we can't change quickly. But is there any other way to charge this thing? I mean, the child doesn't want to come back home after cycling for 10 kilometers and cycle again to charge the light, right? How else can this light be charged? Is there, you said solar, but I mean, depends on the house.
No, that's why I'm saying now that solar is, you can say that alternative can be solar, but solar, the business model involved with solar is not going to be sustainable. In our business model is that every child from class 8 onward is going to get a free cycle from government, from Mukhyamantri Cycle Yojana. Every year they're distributing more than 15 lakh cycles. So child has a cycle and he has to go to a school. He has to go to coaching classes. After school, almost 95% of child in Bihar go to coaching classes. They are not satisfied with the government what they teach in government school. So he gets almost more than 2 hours of cycling every day. He goes to play crickets just before the sunset. He will go using cycle. So right, what happens that just after sunset till 9 PM, this is the prime time for any child to study. So what happens generally that in most of the places there is no power. Even in capital city like Patna, there is heavy load shedding because the power has to be supplied to the market area, and there is heavy load shedding in the households. So if we have studied in good schools, in private schools, but even in our childhood we have faced the same problem. But luckily we have a solar charger, so okay, fine. But everyone cannot afford that. So this problem is retaining the same.
Or if the batteries where does that poor student's family go to replace everything?
Ma'am, we will be having a proper customer service. So apart from having dedicated salespersons, we will be having our customer service in place. So in case dynamo breaks down or battery stops working, they can contact our customer service. Initially for 6 months or 1 year, the service will be free of cost. After that, they will pay for the services.
And plus, ma'am, since students are enrolled in schools, so if there is any such a certain complaint, we will have our agent who will frequently visit the schools, maybe once in a 10 days or something like that, and he can get complaints from there also.
Can you redesign the charging system to also be fitted onto a wall socket?
Obviously, sir, it is technology, it can be redesigned.
And if so, are there enough number of hours of electricity in middle class households to permit that to happen instead of cycling?
In city like Patna or in the main urban cities of every district, you can expect that. But if you go beyond that, we don't have that much.
How do mobile phones get charged in these areas?
Sir,
if we are looking into rural sector or suburban areas, they don't have any mobile phones. Or even if they have mobile phones, there's a certain time the electricity comes for 2 to 3 hours in the daytime. So they will recharge it during the daytime. But for studying at night, there won't be any electricity.
And many people in the middle of nowhere in Bihar where I've gone, they all have mobile phones. And there are entrepreneurs who charge them using diesel, solar, which way. They go and give their mobiles for charging, and there's a small fee for that. That's how mobile phones are getting charged.
And also, our mentor has also advised us that since there are many local entrepreneurs trying to build up their entrepreneurship, so we can help them to make a charging station. Yeah, we can help them making charging a station. As we said that we will sell our model to local entrepreneurs because we alone cannot manage this such a big market. So they can charge them for them, and they will take just a small amount of money from them, just very, very cheap. Sorry, ma'am?
I mean, the other potential way to scale quickly would be to bundle the dynamo with the bicycles as they're distributed, and see if you can come up with some kind of partnership with the government.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, that would also take care of some of the maintenance.
Last year only, government has started manufacturing their own cycle in Aurangabad district of Bihar. Earlier they used to get it imported. So when this all depends on the market feedback. When we get a good feedback, we can approach the government in this way also, that from the factory itself, this will get incorporated, for which a student has to pay just a small amount of money. So then, yeah, exactly, or nothing. So the product is ready, the market is ready. Yeah, I've a bit paid. So the product is ready, the market is ready, we just need funding to get it started.
Is this too little funding?
No, so this will be, I guess in the initial phase it will be enough, because we are spending around 2 lakhs, we are keeping equity of rupees 1 lakh, and since feedback is definitely going to be good enough, we will definitely get a loan of 2 lakh rupees from any bank.
So let me get very serious. Now you said that copying was not a problem. I want to understand in what way is copying not a problem?
Sir, copying is, this is a technology. You get, anyone can open that box, we will see, okay, this is the capacitor, this is the LM317, these are things. He will catch any guy who is studying electronics, maybe this idea might not have infected him, but from seeing the circuit he can say, okay, yeah, this is used as a regulator circuit. He will start manufacturing his own. So before he starts manufacturing his own, what I will do, that when I come to know that this product is actually creating a buzz, I will catch those people and I will tell them, okay, no need to take any pain, get a proper contract between us, you take this district, you do business, just give a percentage of revenue to us. He will be happy and I will get more and more revenue, so that we can further fund in some other products. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, most welcome.
graph